We are in here. We are in here. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building. We're about to be getting into this thing. So you already know the deal. You already know the routine. Make sure you hit the like button, whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. Whether you're catching it live or you're catching it after it's uploaded. Make sure you hit the like button. Going to be getting into a number of things. Going to be breaking down this quote from Deion Sanders, where he said this a little while ago, but he said something that went along the lines of not recruiting quarterbacks who came from single mother households. Got to be a dual parent household for the quarterbacks, but the positions like the defensive line, it doesn't require as much leadership, or dare I say intelligence. We just need you to run in there and hit somebody. Oh yeah, y'all could be from single mother. The head hunters, the mercenary team. Yeah, y'all could be from single mother households. Y'all can. But the quarterback, no. We don't do that there. And there'll be a number of other things I'll be getting into. There's this epic, very quotable statement right there that I normally find a web post and I break it down. I've been doing that lately, so I'll be breaking this one down right here. Some of y'all probably read that real fast. I'm not even about to get into it or read it right now because I'm about to roll the intro. And there's a couple of other things that I will be getting into. But either way it go, without further ado, I see Hoop Jargon down there said he'll be on the panel. That's going to be great. I may bring you up early. But without further ado, let's get ready to go. Where's my intro? Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What's up? What's going on? Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to the early bird squads. Shout out to the early bird squad. Those that make it in bright and early before I even get things started. RM in the building says hit the like button on the way in. Says hit the like button on the way into the building. LB Crypto in the building says good morning, y'all. Come on in and hit the like button and put some respect on that super chat. Absolutely. Shout out to LB Crypto. Shout out to Hoop Jargon says I'll be on this panel. Absolutely. Looking forward to hear your thoughts on that. Rod of God podcast says inspired by Hoop Jargon LOL. If Hoop Jargon covered this, I wasn't even aware of it, but I'm kind of glad now if he's coming on the panel because I don't have his take fresh in my head. So I'll have my own fresh take, and then he can come up and I can get his fresh, and we can all get it, and that'll be perfect. And SKC in the building. Of course, this one is going to bring SKC out. And so it begins. The coon smiles and watches the prophecy slowly occur. What prophecy is that, SKC? What prophecy is that? Coons don't make prophecies. Queen Q in the building says, been a minute. Good morning. Good morning, morning. Shout out to Snuggles in the building. Hey, Snuggles, I owe you an apology. I owe you a formal apology. I'm about to give you so much of an apology, Snuggles. You're about to get your wrench back because you are just honestly, hold on. You are just honestly warning me on when I had the show when Mike and young lady Vivica was in the studio. You were just politely warning me that the audio was bad, and I thought you were trolling me. And I took the liberty of timing you out and haven't seen you since. I thought you was trolling me, but you were not trolling me. The audio was indeed bad, and I did fix it later in the show, and I offered you an apology that you weren't there to receive. So let me make that right, Snuggles. Let me make that right. You are knighted in, and I do apologize. And in honor of my mistake of me timing you out when I thought you was trolling, I'm going to do the honors of playing this.
Hi, I'm Snuggle, Snuggly Softness. That's really less expensive.
All right, cool. All right, we got that straightened out. We got all that. We got all that straightened out. But all right, let's let's get into it. Let's get into it. It's a number of things on the docket. I'm forgetting some of the things I got on the docket before we get all the way into the main topic. But I do gotta touch on some things. Before we get all the way into it. Let's see. Where are we starting at? One thing that I did mean to cover is the whole Erica Badu thing. And this is it's sort of related because again, we talk about the culture of single mothers and they talk about it from the standpoint of just these men ain't worth a damn. But when you just sit back and listen to women talk, you find out that they sort of facilitated they sort of facilitated and make it ultimately make it happen a lot more than what people have previously thought. A lot more than what people have previously thought. And it's a clip that I don't even got this one ready to go, but don't worry. It will be ready. It will be ready. It's something that BGS played, and I find that more fascinating than the Erica Badu article. The Erica Badu, I say Erica Badu rag when people be having things on their head, but it says God makes us fall in love just long enough to get pregnant. Erica Badu gets candid about having 3 children with 3 different men and why she feels she's not suited for marriage. Absolutely. That's what they do. That's how they operate. They're suited for motherhood, not suited for marriage. One could argue that someone like Erica Badu being, I'm assuming she's rich. I'm assuming she haven't been screwed over by the labels or whatnot, that she's rich, you know. And one could argue that a rich woman is going to do an okay job raising some kids, even though they probably going to turn up screwed up in some way. But money is deodorant that that covers up a lot. Money is like deodorant for anything that stinks. If you got enough money, you can kind of make problems go away or float under the radar, and it kind of doesn't come out or manifest itself into sometime later when the kid is on drugs and checking into rehab, committing suicide or some stuff. Things like that happen. But it's very possible. It's very possible when somebody has that many resources and if they are halfway smart, they can afford to have tutors and nannies and all kind of stuff on deck, and so the kids can turn out okay, if you understand what I'm saying. But those thought processes do extrapolate. They do extrapolate pretty heavy into the general public. They do extrapolate pretty heavy into the general public, and we're going to break down a lot of those thought processes as we ease into the whole Deion Sanders situation and what he's saying and what he's talking about. Because I didn't see a lot of coverage on this. I didn't see a lot of coverage on this in this space. When I actually looked it up, I saw people from, from other sectors talking about it. But this is right up our alley. This is right up our alley. So we definitely do got to hop on this Deion Sanders situation. We definitely do got to hop on this Deion Sanders situation. And I'm actually uploading something. So while we wait for that to upload, I will pull this up. This was a quote. This was a web post that I saw. Kind of unrelated. But the man says, we're gonna get it. We're gonna break this one down. Says, if I marry a woman with a child, we become a family, meaning every child under my roof is mine. The father of the child must respect me as the father of his child. I don't know how to whistle, but that was supposed to be like a I can't whistle, but that was supposed to be a whistle. Basically, if he wants to see his child, I should be notified so I know where my child is going. Whew. And it goes on to say, and I should be told if the child is not coming back and what time the child will be back. And I expect the mother to understand and be on board with this. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the alpha stepdaddy. That's what that is. He's the alpha stepdaddy. He's doing the full alpha flex, and I'm in control and everything on my program. And he's making this stepdaddy shit look masculine. He's the Andrew Tate of stepdaddies. Listen to this stuff. If I marry a woman with a child, we become a family, meaning every child under my roof is mine. The biological father of the child must respect me as the father to his child. Alpha stepdaddy, ladies and gentlemen. The alpha stepdaddy, you heard it here first. That's becoming a thing now. They're trying to chest beat about the stepdaddy thing. That's becoming a thing. You could be a chest beating stepdaddy under the guy under the metrics and thought process that is laid out here in this post by somebody named, I don't even know this. I don't know the name. The name don't matter. The name don't matter. But the alpha stepdaddy is a thing. The alpha stepdaddy is a thing. He says, basically, if he wants to see his child, I should be notified so I can know where my child is going. He's the woman got to submit to him and get on his program, and the biological daddy got to submit to him and get on his program. Everybody must be on his program. This is alpha stepdaddy season. That's what's going on there. We're gonna you said it's a simp hierarchy. Hey, that's he at the top of the simp hierarchy. You don't simp harder than that. Said he an alpha simp. Yeah, we gonna get back into that one. We gonna get back into that one. I'm gonna save that one for the later part of the show. I'm gonna say that one for the later part of the show when we got people in here. When we got more people in here and we got a panel. We got to talk about this one. We got to talk about this one. I just wanted to give y'all the teaser trailer of what's coming later in the show. We gonna get into the alpha stepdaddy because these chicks done gassed enough men up about how the importance and the values and how what a real man was supposed to do, to the point to where it's turning into a chest beating thing. The stepdaddy and they chest beating about it. But however, I do want to get into this really quick before I float my way into the main topic. I don't know where this came from. This looks like a clip from one of those Bill Moyers interviews, the one where the chicks, basically it was a bunch of young mothers, looked like they were anywhere from 16 to 20, and the question was asked about marrying your child's father, and they all raise your hand if you would like to marry your child's father, and they all kept their hands down. Like, why would I do that? I already got a child to take care of. Why would I want I don't want the added stress of a whole family. It's like that was the thought process. This looks like it came from around that same time, but just listen to this. Listen to this. And people who try to tell us we're wrong, we're misogynistic, we're making this stuff up. And it's funny because we be hearing it from the horse's mouth. Hearing it from the horse's mouth. This is a different clip. I never saw this one.
Going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility. And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think that you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because women, as long as we can get, we're gonna get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
Woo. Woo. It's part of our being. It's part of our being. Shout out to BGS, because I just uploaded this from his channel. Shout out to BGS. She said it's part of our being that we're going to do whatever you let us do. And what they don't realize when they do that, when I had them chicks when I had them chicks in the studio, I took that one down. It was a fun show, but it was the video quality was bad, and it was just a little too ratchety. But but the same conversation came out of a tatted up hood chick, and this is the same conversation coming out of a seemingly sophisticated woman from the 70s. That if I meet a man that if I detect that he's weak, I'm going to try to walk all over him. I'm going to try to do whatever he will let me get away with. And I tried to explain this to multiple women. Some of them understood it and some of them didn't. That you're essentially saying is that your default nature is ultimately to treat men like shit, if he allows it. And I always ask the question, if the default nature is to walk all over a man and treat him badly if he allows it, and the only reason that she's being a good woman when she's being a good woman is because that man is not allowing her to be bad, can we even use the term good women to describe them? Like, can we even use that term? Like, we're hearing it right out of the horse's mouth that no, we're going to get away with whatever society allows us to get away with, and by extension, whatever the man that we're individually dealing with allows us to get away with. It's like, when you understand that, then I'm sorry. Degrees and levels of chauvinism becomes justified. When you understand that. When you understand that certain degrees of chauvinism is now justified. Because they're basically saying their default nature is to be at war with the man that they're with. And the only way that war ends is that if he's strong enough and could handle her enough to by fiat, by force, by cratocracy, if he could end that war through the might of his manhood, then okay, then there won't be a war. It's like you got to be the United States at war with a third world country to where they just understand that, hey, we don't got enough ammo. We only can throw so many rocks. And so it's like you have to be in that situation. And then when we circle it back to the conversation, we're talking about men making sure that they're in a power position when dealing with women. When we talk about, things like, oh, don't ever move into a woman's house. Don't get with it. If she's making more money than you, there's potentially going to be a problem because you don't want to be in a weaker position in any way, shape, or form, because getting that weaker position makes you vulnerable to the point to where she's going to be like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, biting the gate for weaknesses. She's going to be testing the gate, and even the movie. You remember they said the dinosaurs, the raptors, they bit a different part of the gate every time, testing it for weaknesses. They'll bite it one time, get zapped. Okay, I know not to bite right there. I'm gonna go over here and bite right here. Okay, I got zapped. Let me try right here. Let me try the lower part of the gate. Okay, let me stretch my neck out and bite. Oh, cool! I found a weakness at that high part. Okay, let me keep biting right there. It's like that's what's happening when you follow the logic of what they're saying all the way to its logical conclusion. Did somebody just say that's Angela Davis? I don't even know who this is. I saw this on BGS this morning. I just saw it popped up on my feed. If this is Angela Davis, that says a whole lot. This is Angela Davis, that says a whole lot. But it shows, even at the top of sophisticated, educated women, all the way down to the tatted up ratchets, the thought process is very, very similar. Very, very similar. And that's why, when I talk about things and I break these things down, I'm typically not talking about, okay, I'll do some content on some hood chicks doing some hood shit if it's funny, if it's genuinely funny. Yes, I will do it. But typically the stuff that I talk about and the arguments that I make are things that typically don't necessarily or strictly apply to the hood chicks. And my bad, RM. I keep forgetting I gotta start sending you that link earlier. But this link is for RM. Don't nobody come bum rush the panel. Panel ain't open yet. I gotta get my breakdown of the Deion Sanders situation. Gotta give my breakdown of that Deion Sanders situation. And I might bring Hoop up first by itself. I might bring up Hoop up first by itself. Because really anything, I'm gonna start doing that. Anything that's related to sports or adjacent to sports, you will be called on. You'll be called on to go in and do it. But anyway, hoop jargon in the building with the $2 super chat. He says Erica Badu is a Dallas ratchet biatch that can sing. You know what? You want to know an interesting thing about the women who do the whole little head wrap thing, and the incense burning chicks that the real earthy types where they wear those little long skirts that go down to the ankle with some open-toed sandals and some little tank top thing with the little Erykah Badu rag shit. They got their hair wrapped in the Erykah Badu rag, and they real earthy, and one with the universe types. The chicks like that, it's like all that stuff that I just described, it kind of disguises their ratchetness. Because for some reason, I don't see those type of chicks as ratchet. I don't. I look at them as like, very peaceful hippies. that could be a disguise. that could very well be a disguise, an attempt to disguise the ratchet. Okay, yeah, the neo soul chicks. They dress up. They get dressed up in the neo soul costume to try to disguise the ratchet. Oh, get out of there, Big Boss. Big Boss Real Talk said it's witchcraft. Okay, that's what they be on. Because I haven't really messed with too many chicks like that. But yeah, I think they are disguising the ratchet with that earthy one with the universe look, or they doing some witchcraft. it could be either one. So that I truly don't know. That I truly don't know. So yeah, those chicks slip float under the radar on me. They disguise it. They kind of disguise their ratchetness with that one with the universe look. They house still be a mess. Those earthy chicks, they don't be cleaning up. Don't be shaving their armpits. Toilet be having a ring around it. Oh man. Shout out to Hoop Jargon says, bro, I lived in Dallas. The misdirection ratchet. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking those ones floated under the radar on me. I'm thinking that may be the case. Those ones, they floated under the radar. I don't see them ones coming. They wrapped their hair in that Erica Badu rag and got all those weird bracelets and little necklaces that look like they got them from I don't know, from some black arts festival or something. They got that type of look. Yeah, those ones float under the radar on me. If they probably be ratchet as hell, but I don't know. But anyway, shout out to Hoop Jargon. Thank you very much for supporting the stream. Appreciate everybody supporting the stream. Shout out for Hoop Jargon putting his $2 on. I know he want to hear that, Johnny.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Yeah, they be having them crystals. They be having they probably be having a damn, what's those things called? Damn it, I can't. What? Oh my goodness, what are they called? Those things where you like make a like the little voodoo doll. They probably having voodoo dolls and stuff. They probably having all kind of stuff going on. Tarot cards, yeah. It probably be all kind of stuff going on with them chicks. Yeah. They float under the radar. But all right, but let me get into the main topic. I'm gonna get my thoughts on this, and I'm gonna get Hoop Jargon up here on this one. But all right, here it is. This is Deion Sanders, an interview. This is actually a relatively short clip, but he said so much here. In this short clip that I didn't even bother looking up the full clip, because he probably said what he said here, and then they just moved on. Sometimes white folks will do that, and when a black person say something too real, they like, okay, and so to the next segment, and they just they pull out their little cue cards, like they pull out their little cue cards real fast and go on to the next question when Deion slip up and say something too real. But anyway, here we go. This was a clip.
Different.
Yeah.
We want mother, father. Quarterbacks are different.
Yeah.
We want mother, father, dual parent.
Mm-hmm.
We want that kid to be 3, 5 and up, because he's got to be smart.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad decisions off the field at all,
Mm-hmm.
because he has to be a leader of men. Like old linemen, I look for dual parent homes.
Right.
A strong father that they adhered to.
Right.
Smart kid, at least 3 and above. Lineman, defense lineman's totally opposite.
What do you mean?
Single mama. Trying to get it. He's on free lunch. I'm talking about just trying to make it. He trying to rescue mama.
Whew. All right, there it is. You heard it right there from Deion Sanders. He said it right out of the horse's mouth. And here are my thoughts on that. The quarterback of the football team. The quarterback of the football team. Anybody who knows football, you can back me up on this. The quarterbacks are normally 4.0 students. They have to be smart. They have to be intelligent. They have to not only know, they don't got to know the playbook. Like they have big thick ass playbooks. They got to not know that playbook just from, they can't just know it from their perspective. They got to know what everybody on the field's assignment is. All 11 people on his team, he got to know what their assignment is, and he got to know the defense's assignment. He got to study the other team's defense. He got to study what they like to do. He got to study the plays that they like to run when they're in this set. He got to know his game plan, everybody's assignment, and the defense's game plan. He got to know all of that. And then when he hiked the ball, all that stuff that he knows that he had to spend all that time studying, he got to drop back the pass, and in a matter of 2, 3, 5 seconds at best, process all that incoming information, and 300-pound people running a 4.5 coming at him full speed. He got to process all that information and make the right decision. Like the level of intelligence that your quarterback got to have, the level of maturity, the level of just steadiness under pressure, like, yeah, I agree. Filtering out those that were not raised in a 2-parent household, man, woman, child, filtering for that, for your quarterback, it makes sense. It makes sense. And when you look at most quarterbacks in the NFL, now that's slightly changing, all right? This is slightly changing now in the NFL, in the new NFL. It's more black quarterbacks. And RM, you can go up and star the 2 super chats that was that Hoop Jargon sent 2 of them before we started. Now it's changing in this new NFL, because this new NFL is kind of playing more like college football, where it's more read option. That means the quarterback, he can make the decision whether he hand it off to the running back or he keep it and then he run and roll out, and then sometimes he roll out and it's still the option to pass or the option to run, and so now speedy quarterbacks are being used. When I say speedy quarterbacks, I mean black quarterbacks are being used. Now I'm not saying that a black quarterback can't fall in those categories, but from a pure number standpoint, when you're looking for a quarterback, you will have a more target rich environment when you're looking at those that did come from 2-parent households, excellent student. He said 3.5, but just truth be told, quarterbacks, they be 4.0 students. They be 4.0 students. You need an intelligent, confident leader of men. Not saying that you come from a single-parent household. You can't be that. There are plenty that are that. I view LeBron James as that. He's a quarterback on the basketball court. He came from a single mother household, and he has one of the highest basketball IQs I've ever seen. There was some mental weakness that he did have earlier in his career that probably could have been resulted from not growing up with your father. That could be the case. He did have some mental weakness growing up, earlier in his career, that he had to develop the perseverance. He wasn't like Kobe. Kobe just came in with the eye of the tiger and heart of a champion. He wouldn't like Jordan, who came in like that. He had to develop some things. But overall, if I were somebody just being a high IQ leader out there, just really running and can really run and manage and facilitate a team and know his role and everybody else's role and where they're supposed to be and direct the traffic and do all. Yeah, that was LeBron James, single mother raised household. Okay, we get it. But what Deion Sanders is saying, and I put race in it where he didn't. He didn't put race in it. He just said the type of household, the type of kid, the type of environment, he just described all of that. He didn't say black, but he described. he didn't say white, but he described something. Now, so it's like you can't knock that. Now, a position that from a the intelligence level that you must have as an offensive lineman, that's a bit underrated. Offensive linemen, they typically do all 4 years in school. They typically do all 4 years in school, and they have to be intelligent. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find. There it is. I found it. You want your offensive lineman to be, you don't want your offensive lineman to be hotheads too, because then you got them jumping off sides all the time. You want your offensive lineman to be smart. The offense and all the stuff that they do, some of the stuff they do is real intricate. You got to work like a clock. So you need your offensive lineman to be intelligent. But what he's saying, he's basically, I hate to look at it like this. But let's go down that rabbit hole. He's saying that the defensive line, the defensive players, particularly the defensive line, he don't care. He don't care about their upbringing. He don't care about their background. He don't care what kind of grades they get. Basically, y'all are the mercenaries. Y'all are the hired guns. Y'all are the hitmen. Y'all basically saying y'all are the ones who are on the seek and destroy missions. And so basically, you follow that to his logical conclusion. He's saying y'all don't need fathers in the home. Y'all don't need that. Y'all are on the seek and destroy mission. The war general, he basically said the war general is different from the frontline soldier. That war general got to be a very, mentally in pocket, locked in, make the right decision in every step of his life type of person who we can trust to make the right decisions in critical moments. The frontline soldier, we don't need all that from him. That's what he's getting at. Now, people are throwing out names. All right. Y'all going to run into problems when y'all throw out names, because Michael Vick's biggest problem is that he didn't stand in the pocket and read and process that information real fast and find his wide receivers. He dropped back. He didn't step up into the pocket and throw. He dropped back and then just kept dropping back, and then had to roll out and make some wild, crazy, wacky play on his foot that I absolutely love. Michael Vick was my all-time favorite football player. I used to pay for the NFL Sunday ticket just to watch every Michael Vick game because it was the most entertaining thing I ever seen in sports. So I'm a fan of Michael Vick, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that he fully had the 100% consistent temperament of that you want from an NFL quarterback. There's a reason why a lot of the scrambling out of the pocket quarterbacks until recently, you didn't see too many of them winning Super Bowls. You just didn't. And I would say, I saw Russell Wilson thrown out there. Russell Wilson barely counts. He plays outside of the pocket, but he's not that he gets outside of the pocket in order to pass. He make plays on the passing plays on the run, but he's not no threatening to rush for 1,000 yards in a season, if you understand what I'm saying. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks, calling out the exceptions, but I understand where Deion Sanders is coming from. He's saying there's a certain level of stability and maturity that must be had, a certain level of responsibleness that must operate within a player. All of that must be in place in order to be the leader of men. And he's saying that he don't trust it if they got problems off the field, if the grades are a little shaky, if they weren't raised in a 2-parent household. He don't trust this person to lead. He don't. But if he's he's a skilled position player, and not even necessarily a skilled position player. If he only used the defensive line, even though there's other positions on the football field that is kind of okay to be in that realm. But the defensive line, particularly your defensive end, what is his job typically? To go and tackle the quarterback and or the running back. But your defensive end, the biggest thing you want him to do is if he tackle that quarterback for a loss, or he just make the quarterback have to pass it sooner because he got by the man in front of him and rushed that quarterback. It's like basically they're hired guns. So he's saying that's the one that can be hungry, coming from that single mother household, trying to get mama out the hood. It's okay to have that type of hunger and that aggression and all of that at the defensive end. He's saying I can't have that at quarterback. He's saying I can't have that at quarterback. And he's not wrong. Now, you're saying Deion's been watching too much of the Black Man. I don't think you got to watch Black Manosphere to come to that conclusion. I really don't think you have to. I really don't think you have to. And I'm not understanding, Warren Moon though. Like, what are you saying with that? What are you saying with that? The argument is that quarterbacks typically do better. They're coming from 2-parent households, good kids, good grades, stayed out of trouble. Like I don't know what naming certain names. I don't know how naming certain names negates that. I don't know if anybody's trying to negate that or trying to argue that. There are Black quarterbacks that came from good homes, 2-parent household, great families. I mean, let's keep it a buck. I'm pretty sure Joey Harrington that played for the Lions, I know he got good grades in school. That's one thing they said about him. He was just wickedly smart. Came from 2-parent household, never had an off the field issue. He was white and was a horrible quarterback. Number 2 or 3 pick in the draft for the Lions, and I think 2002 or 3. Horrible quarterback. All right. So it's not an absolute zero-sum game with that. But I think we would be lying to ourselves is that to filter out for recruiting the good ideal quarterback, the criteria that he laid out is a good criteria. The thing that he didn't say that we're going to say here where do you find the majority of that? Do you find a high number of that in the Black community? So with the unstated words that he's saying is he's not looking for a Black quarterback. That's what I was getting at. And Hoop Jargon is with me. He said white coaches. Yeah, white coaches do that. White coaches do that. Like when it comes to positions in the NFL, it's a reason why. This is where it get okay. The left tackle is usually Black on the offensive line. We saw Blindside, right? Those that are not unaware, we saw Blindside. That's the position where he got to be big, he got to be strong, he got to be able to block, and he defends the quarterback's blind side. The quarterback throw with his right hand. That means he can't see what's going on. When the quarterback is throwing with his right hand, he's looking like this. He can't see what's going on over there when he's looking to throw right here. He can't see it. He can't see what's coming. So that's a very, very highly paid position on the football field. The person who defends the quarterback's blind side. All right. That person is usually Black. That person is usually Black because you got to be big, strong, and quick, and light on your feet, and fast, and change directions, and you got to be able to block. You got to be able to block speedy defensive. Those mercenaries that Deion Sanders was talking about, that he don't care if they got bad grades and came from a single mother household. That basically the left tackle got to be able to block those mercenaries coming through to take the quarterback head off. You got to be able to block them. They're normally fast and strong, a lot faster than him. But he got to be quick enough to guard them, but also quick enough to block them, but also big enough and strong enough to downfield block on like if you got to block, like let's say one of the defensive tackles, he got to be able to downfield block he got to block when they try to run, but he also got to be able to step back and be quick and guard the defensive ends coming in. If you don't know football, you don't understand what I'm saying. But the fact of the matter is that's a position that's usually black. It just is what it is. They don't get a high enough percentage of white guys coming out of college who have that skill set where they're that quick, that fast, and that big and that strong at the same time. Now they get big, strong farm boys. Don't get that twisted. Those are your offensive guards. That's your center. And that center has to have good grades too, because he got to know the plays, not to the degree of the quarterback, but he got to know a lot. You know, he got to know a lot of signals, a lot. So that, you know, so basically it's like the tackles normally be black, the guards and center normally be white. On the defensive line, those are normally black. It's like certain types of players with certain this is where it get dark, with certain certain genetic propensities tend to dominate certain positions. And sometimes, depending on what's asked of that position, sometimes the culture in the background of where that player or person where that player was raised and how they grew up will influence their ability to play certain positions. And quarterback is one of those positions. And that's why until the NFL started doing more read option, where the plays where the quarterback designed QB runs, the quarterbacks have been white. And they called it racism, but now half the quarterbacks in the league are either black or biracial, because they're doing more. The quarterback is doing more athletic plays now. But it's a reason why running backs and wide receivers, 95, 97% of them are black. It's a reason why that is the case. And that's just pure athleticism. But when you're talking about the quarterback, yes, the upbringing, the grades, the overall temperament, and all of that stuff, the environment he grew up in, all of that stuff comes into account. And if a white person would have said this, if a white coach would have said this, he would have been called racist. But sort of like what Hoop is saying right there, white coaches have to do this all the time. Now, I probably got pretty controversial with this one. But I do want to get y'all take on this. Definitely want Hoop Jargon and SKC's take on this. But before I get into that,
20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140.
That's $100.
Shout out. Shout out to Ryan Decipher coming through hard and heavy-handed. With the $100 super chat, he says, I agree with what Deion said. You don't enter a Clydesdale horse, which is a breed designated as a working class horse, into the Kentucky Derby to compete against other horses bred and raised to race. The same concept can be applied to people in sports. Agreed. But I'm about to put the link in the chat. And the coded language in there is Deion was basically saying he want a pocket QB. He want a QB that's gonna sit in the pocket. He ain't trying to have the read option, the read option quarterback. He's not trying to have all that going on. But we got Hoop Jargon in the building. Welcome. Do appreciate you coming on through. I think I meant, hold on, wait. Before I go any further, shout out to Jamar81. Shout out to Jamar81 with the $5 super chat. Do appreciate that. And right. I think I got everybody. Big Boss says Suicide Squad. Oh man. Oh yeah. Definitely.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. And thanks again, Ryan Decipher. Thank you again very much for coming through hard and heavy handed with the $100 super chat. But all right, and we got SKC in here too. These are two people I wanted to hear from. Hoop from more the sports angle on it and the cultural angle, but I know SKC about to dig deep into the cultural implications of Deion Sanders' statement. So welcome aboard to both of you gentlemen. We're going to Hoop first, man. What you got on this, man? What you got?
Man, okay, man. So I love when talking points like this come to the forefront because people have the misconception that like you guaranteed something or like, oh, you deserve something. Division I sports, man. I played for the listening audience. I played Division I basketball at Prairie View A&M, which is the same conference as Jackson State. I played at Stephen F. Austin State University, which is a PWI. So I've seen all levels of, entitlement and working hard to get a scholarship and get an opportunity and this, that, and the third. People really think that just because, oh, well, my son is ranked this, he's supposed to do this. No, he ain't supposed to do shit. Mm-hmm. And so these lanes intersect because in a situation like this where Coach Prime is just being brutally honest about how it is to recruit Division I athletes, because you're the 1% of high school athletes. 1% of guys go play Division I sports. 1. So I'm lucky enough, I'm 6'7" in real life. I had some privilege in that, and I, got myself in that. I wasn't highly recruited. So when I see people just act like, oh, well, how could he say that? I'm like, well, because he's been a head coach for 3 years now, going on year 4. I'm sure he's kind of aggregated a list of, okay, this guy kind of does this. This type of guy kind of does this. So what smart coaches do is they optimize their observations and they apply that to their recruiting. Meaning you don't step to everybody just because they're ranked this. Okay, but is he a cultural fit? And one thing you didn't mention, Bernard, is the transfer portal. That's a big thing now. Like, so basically meaning guys.
The what? Say that again.
The transfer portal.
Oh, okay.
So guys can leave 1 year after commitment and go play immediately. That wasn't the case back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean 3 years ago. You had to sit out a year if you went to trade to another Division I school, right? So now, as a coach, you got to play offense a little bit. You got to know, okay, is this guy going to stay here? Is he committed? Like you said, with the 2-parent household thing, they generally understand order better because they've been, raised in a nuclear family. So they don't buck the system as much. And I coached and played at the D1 level. And I'm just saying, anecdotally, fair enough, generally speaking, those kind of guys stay committed because they just that's all they know is to listen to the authority, the authority figure. So we look at a situation like this, Prom is just saying things that are abrasive to a lot of people because they have no context. And it's something I put on my stream if you guys want to check it out. It's almost reminiscent of Jimmy the Greek. Are you familiar with him, Bernard?
Ooh, yeah. Go ahead and explain to the audience what he said.
Yeah, so Jimmy the Greek was talking about black athletes. And I played the clip on my, my stream, and he basically was just brutally honest about how white people perceive black athletes. And in short verse, he was saying that they're taking over. So it's like only us white guys, we only can be coaches at this point. He said this in the 70s. He's like, yeah, we ain't really got too many places left. He saw that way, ahead of where we are now.
Wait, but wasn't he the one that said something along the lines of because of slavery, like they were bred a certain way, due to slavery, that was the more controversial part of it. The white guys got to be coaches. I didn't think that part was all. I mean, it's some controversy there, but that's nothing compared to and Jason Wolf said, I think that was in the 80s too when he said that.
80s. I'm sorry. So,
yeah, that was a part that was controversial, and and that's how a lot of people believed it, because basically the whole, how do you say about slavery, they took the biggest, strongest buck, as they called it, and then bred it with the the strongest woman and tried to make some big strong super slave or some shit like that. Was a thing. But we know more now about West African genetics and that's where we came from, and that has something to do with it as well, the West African aspect of it, because basically everybody who places and be winning the gold in the Olympics are the top people that place, and most of them from West Africa.
Yeah,
that just is what it is. They got West African ancestry, put it like that. But anyway, carry on.
And check it. So I'm gonna give two more examples. So, my personal situation. My father is 6'2", my mom's 6 foot.
Oh yeah,
they bred a 6'7" kid.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, my sister's 5'8", but that's tall for a girl. But
yeah,
it's just true. So with guys like that, you call those, revelators of truth, and that doesn't always land favorably to people because it's too abrasive. But it's true. Black people, we got to own the fact we have that fast twitch muscle.
Yeah,
own the shit.
That's what a lot of people, and I get pushback when I talk about that. But the people who study this for a living, like, they know and they understand. Like, the perception is that the black athlete is hell bent on getting the family out the ghetto. Okay, that's true. So that is something in the mentality of trying real hard to excel in sports, but also that doesn't account for, like what you just said, the fast that doesn't account for the ability to stop and go and change directions and jump and do a second jump real fast. Like, they test stuff like that, and they like, wait, it's something in the genes there that's allowing. It's something in the genes that allows y'all to do certain things faster at on a bell curve at a higher percentage rate. Let me make that very clear, because we did just see a white guy win the dunk contest. Okay, so I'm talking about on a bell curve at a certain percentage rate, it's higher with the black people, and people don't want to talk. I mean, it's like they sometimes they don't want to talk about the genetic advantages. But then when we get into Deion Sanders, this is where I want to go to SKC. When we talk about what Deion Sanders was talking about, then there's some cultural advantages that they don't want to talk about, because they wanted to call it racism when the majority of quarterbacks was white. They wanted to just call it racism, but no, these was good Filipino students that was raised properly, and they were intelligent. They got hired in a 4.0 all through school. They was just like they studied for the organic chemistry test. They study in that playbook all the same, and they're with it. They've been groomed for it their whole life to basically be able to process and retain all this information, your hold down playbook, everybody else's role, and what everybody else got to do, what the other team strategy is, and what they got to do. Watching countless film, doing countless reading, countless studying. It's like, yeah, there was a cultural advantage. There was a cultural advantage that came into play, to where Deion Sanders is basically cold talking, speaking to that. Low key, I took it as what he was saying is, I'm more than likely going to end up with a white quarterback. But that's how I took what he was saying. But go ahead, SKC. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Hey, what's going on, Bernard? Hoop Jogger, Pablo, man. Good grief! There's so much meat to pull off this bone. I don't even want to touch on the whole thing when you were talking about the genetics thing, because that could go in so many different ways, and then people throw in the whole thing of, oh well, you say physical genetics, but what about IQ? And then it gets all crazy. So I'm not gonna even touch that, but I just found it very interesting how this was being described, because I'm just listening in, and I know you guys are talking about sports, and I have this weird mind, and I'm listening to the description of this, and let me describe it in the way that I heard it. Now, let's just take it that we're talking to a person as if we're talking to a person that knows nothing about football or sports at all. And how this is being described to like an alien mind on this. They're describing how this team of men needs to be led by a smart leader from a 2-parent household, and he needs to be protected by another group of smart men from 2-parent households, from men who are from baby mama, emotionally led, violent households, in order to build a legacy of winning.
Sounds like listen. Hold on.
Do you need smart guys on the other side, that want to do the violence and stuff? No, you don't need to. They don't need to be smart at all. They can be as violent and uncouth as possible. You want them to be emotionally led. But if you want to win the game so far as to create a offense and to move the ball in an effective manner and have teamwork and such, then you need a leader of men. He needs to be smart. He needs to have a mother and a father. He needs other men that come from that same household so that they can protect them from those type of men.
Know what?
Is that what I heard?
I'll say it like this. I remember when I was watching when the Patriots and the Seahawks was in the Super Bowl. This was essentially, I believe this was the year when Russell Wilson threw that interception that lost the game. Even though I don't blame him, I blame him for not calling a running play. 3 running plays in a row up the middle from Marshawn Lynch. So I do blame the coach. But either way it go, the interesting thing that I saw out there, and this was my first time noticing this, but I obviously I didn't have a wherewithal to just frame it the way you framed it. But the entire Patriots offense, other than, and they had, I think they had Wes Welker at the time, but other than 2 of their receivers and their running back, everybody else on the field for the Patriots was white, but everybody on the defense for the Seahawks was black. And I was sitting there looking at it. Why did this look like white versus black? I remember sitting there saying that, but I didn't process it the way that I didn't process it the way that you that you broke it down. I didn't process it like that. But that is that's sort of what you saw out there, and that's wild. That's wild. Like, I mean, because the Patriots' whole entire offensive line was white. Obviously, the quarterback white, the tight end was white, and then all the as you said, these aggressive, as you said, as he described it, basically emotionally led, genetic specimens, just out there, we trying to kill them. It was them against the white. It was a black against white dynamic, and taking what you said and what Deion Sanders said and what I saw on the field. And keep in mind, the Patriots had the best offense in the league. The Seahawks that year had the best defense in the league, and so it was interesting. It was interesting.
It's just an observation. I'm not trying to pick on anyone. I'm just saying this is what I think that you all described this morning. And then Hoop Jargon jumped in and he stated, well, these guys, these are the ones that on the offensive side of the ball, they don't have any problem listening to authority. And I'm like, holy crap. Holy crap.
But defensive, okay, to be fair to defensive players, like the middle linebacker do need to be smart. He's like the quarterback on the defense. And what happens is if you have too many idiots out there on the defensive end, and I know Hoop have seen this plenty of times where in a critical moment of the game, some strong safety come running over there with a late hit and then cause a penalty. It's like, so they do need some intelligence and some temperament, but at the same time, you do want them to be you do want them to be some headhunters. You do want them to be some headhunters out there. So yeah, it is interesting, but we're gonna pass it to Pablo. Go ahead, you got it.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on?
So I dropped the link in the private chat here on StreamYards to an article that goes back to 1997, I believe. Or maybe it's 2007. I'm not sure, but to give you an idea where Deion Sanders got that train of thought.
Okay.
Years ago, Coach Bobby Bowden was on an ESPN show, and he made very similar statements about how more and more he was recruiting and going into single parent homes. And he he basically said these old mamas in the interview. And he got, of course, the left-wing media came after him. And the only
if you could do something, we'll suffer through it a little bit, but if you could do something to possibly fix the snap, crackle, and popping, I don't know if you could do anything to fix that.
I don't know. Maybe I can get closer to my.
No, if that's you talking right there, you say, yeah, that was it. Whatever you just did right there.
Okay. So Coach Bowden did this interview on ESPN, and he basically laid out what Deion Sanders laid out, and he was widely criticized for it, excoriated by the mainstream media, and the only thing that put a stop to it was his former players, his former black players.
Mm-hmm.
His aide said, well, yeah, he's right. When we arrived on campus, we had a lot to learn in terms of our responsibilities, what was expected of us, our, presentation, in the public and on campus. They basically said we had a lot to learn, and he, had to kind of whip us into shape. Those of us who did not come from a place where we had a lot of male discipline in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it was only when his black players had to come to his former black players had to come to his defense that the media kind of let him be. But I dropped the USA Today article in the private chat. But guess what? Guess who was one of Bobby Bowden's former players? Deion Sanders.
Wow. Interesting stuff. Yeah, there's an article right there. If I'm just dropping that article in there, if people are interested in checking out that article. No, that is interesting stuff. Look, real quick before I pass it, we got Stefan. Okay, I think that says Stefan Moultrie. Let me make it bigger so I can see it. Shout out to Stefan Moultrie with the $5 super chat. Says, I tell people all the time, the Manning brothers are super successful because they had a daddy, not a mom. Well, they had a mommy. They had a mama, and they had a mama. They had a mama. They had a mama and a daddy. But shout out to you. Do appreciate the super chat. And the Clue channel with he says SKC with the clip of the year. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. So yeah. Wow. So much here. But shout out to the Clue channel. Appreciate you putting 5 on. Appreciate everybody who supports the stream. Appreciate who supports the stream. I'm reading SKC comments, even though he up here on the panel. He says, I'm curious as to how the dynamic plays out in other areas of life in society as a whole. We'll get into that. But football and sports in general typically are a microcosm of what happens in real life. But man, I'm blown away by your analysis of that. But anyway, go ahead, dirty folks in the building. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Gratitude, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
All right, cool. Actually, I just came up because SKC inspired me because that boy was speaking gospel. Um, but and ironically, I came up here to talk about how that affected other places in life. Like I tell my guys, I say, man, when we tried, because I got a foundation and we starting a boarding school. Because like my goal in life is to get black boys away from their mothers, and I know the moms that get their kids to anybody except the biological dad. So I was like, yo, we'll just grab them young and coach them in the way they should go. Um, and I tell my guys all the time. I said, well, when you're out in these urban areas, when you need a send off, you get a shorty who's looking for male validation because everybody needs a man. So when it goes in other areas of life, I'll give you the perfect example. It has nothing to do with violence. I mentor elementary and high schools. I was in this elementary school talking to seventh and eighth graders, and elementary school is just a cesspool of liberal women. Just a bunch of people that don't know nothing, but they got a job. All the answers in the back of the book, so they act like they smart. And all the kids are buck wild in that auditorium. I mean, there's no control. You see a bunch of women doing black girl magic, looking like they're gonna whip somebody kids. Kids is like, yeah, all right, whatever. And like most elementary schools, you don't see a male teacher until you're in fifth grade. And that male teacher is normally the special needs teacher slash gym teacher slash basketball coach. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna hire them any not more than two males in the elementary school. And when the coach came through, the entire auditorium flooded. Coach, coach, listen, coach, this is what the teacher did to me, coach. Coach, I'm having a problem with this, coach, coach. And you can tell this 40-some-year-old man is looking like, yo, these are not my kids. But the way that they gravitated toward masculine energy as the source to resolve problems is uh it's a natural occurrence. So when these boys get in college, because I played college football with some of the dudes so big they ain't even had necks. And the ones you could tell the ones that got passed through high school because they couldn't read, they in summer school trying to figure out how to get their 001 English done, but they don't have no necks, so they on the offensive line or defensive line, whatever they was. And you can tell the running backs had a dad, and their dad coached them, and they had film tape and all that. And the defense was all illiterate single mother sons, and the offense was mostly from two-parent households. The ability to follow hierarchy, which is a huge problem with boys from fatherless homes. Just knowing, you know what I'm saying, private, corporal, sergeant, major. They think that everybody is equal. Everybody has a voice. And you do not, sir. Because I don't care what you have to say, sir. When I tell you to do it, just do it. If I'm wrong, tell me later. After you did it, tell me how we could have done it better. All suggestions go in the suggestion box. We'll read it on Wednesday. And boys from dual parent households or strong uncles or strong community figures, they understand that. Ones who because at some point in life, males realize that their leadership was bad when they get female leadership. And it's crazy, I just made a Facebook post about this. The problem is that women like to tell men that he shouldn't have to follow a man because he's a man too, when the most successful men that are leaders had to follow first. So then they're thinking that they're trying to outdo a woman because women don't give credit to anybody. But she has assistance from men, women, social services, court systems, white liberals, everybody else, while she's telling you to do it on your own and bring back whatever. So that's how they're programmed. But when you're dealing in a sports arena, then you're taught to rely on the man to your left. You know what I'm saying? To
Mm-hmm.
protect this man with your life. Like, yo, you're still gonna get a ring. If you're the 12th man on the bench, your job is to wave the towel, hug the fans, you know what I'm saying? Be the biggest cheerleader because you still gonna get a ring. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that's the difference between a Judd Bushler who never got to play a game but got 3 rings with Jordan, and an Allen Iverson who couldn't not be in the spotlight long enough to be on the bench. Or even Allen Iverson versus Russell Westbrook. Russ know how to sit on the bench and play his position. Allen got kicked out the league because he's like, if I don't start, then y'all don't love me. It's just an emotional thing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Oh man, where we going back with this? I'm go back to hoop now. Do you think that let's deal with the race angle on it a little bit more, because like I said in football, and you probably could speak more on this, like the quarterback position in the NFL is getting the quarterback position in the NFL is getting blacker. You know, they doing more read option plays with the quarterback, more designed quarterback runs. You know, they're doing all that. The quarterback position is getting blacker, and I said that basically, and a lot of those, like some people was naming names of, those black quarterbacks come from two parent households and all of that. How much of it do you think is that's going to be a factor in play in the NFL, you know, or in college with the, the read option plays? Is like, it's probably, even if you're recruiting the types that the type of environments that Deion Sanders saying that he don't want. They do so much quarterback, so many design run plays with the quarterback, is that they like, yeah, this dude, yeah, he from the hood, yeah, his grades was a little shaky, yeah, maybe a little problems off the field, but he can do these design QB runs better. So we gonna take it. We gonna take him. We gonna take it. So how much of it do you think is that going to be the balance?
I love this question, and I'm gonna ask a question with a question, which is usually a faux pas. What do you see normally win the Super Bowl?
Man, listen, I've been rooting for I could lightweight say I kind of got it in Russell Wilson, but not really, because he like I said, he's a quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback, but he ain't no designed QB run rush for 1,000 yards in a season quarterback. He just can make plays outside the pocket. I was rooting for Jalen Hurts. I put it like this. I could be wrong, but I don't know if a dominate the game with his legs, with his speed, quarterback has won a Super Bowl yet. I don't think it's happened. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, Russell Wilson won.
Russell Wilson, yeah, I'm about to say Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but he don't necessarily dominate the game with his running.
He did not. Absolutely not. The run game and his defense dominated the game. And then actually, when he could win one with his arm, he threw an interception to Malcolm Butler, and the rest was history. So my question is, again, when do you see that succeed?
Yeah, you don't, and I'm rooting for it to succeed because I love it. It's no greater play in sports is that when the quarterback get in trouble when he got to run for it. I love that. I love it. It's like you hold your breath to the play over. I was a big fan of Michael Vick because most of his best plays was from broken plays. I love that. But no, I haven't seen that shit win nothing yet. I just haven't.
So it's head versus heart. So if we understand that dynamic, I choose head. I choose.
I do too, Gargan. I do too.
I don't even think you got a pause on that one.
No, I just choose to see, because in my real life, I've had, been called I ain't gonna say a coon per se, but just, oh, you like white quarterbacks. No, I like traditional quarterbacks because that is what works. Just like in the NBA, I like traditional point guards. I like guys like Chris Paul, but that doesn't get pinned as white. But in the NFL world, that gets pawned off as white. But I just like guys who are cerebral. They understand. Mm-hmm. And you let in well, man. You got to think for everybody on that field, on the court. And I want a guy who's capable of doing that. And if he's happen to be white, okay. If he happen to be a black dude, okay. I'm not gonna sit here because I'm, it's almost again head versus heart. I love Michael Vick, bro. I love watching that experience. But what I did see when Michael Vick was his best version of himself, he played for the Eagles.
I agree. He had like one season with the Eagles where he really settled down and was in the pocket and was making the right play. He was more exciting for the Falcons, but he had his best single season with the Eagles. I definitely give you that.
Hey, jogging, just to interject really quickly.
Go ahead, bro.
Can't the same be said for Randall Cunningham?
Yes.
No. And the only reason I say no, and is because and Randall was phenomenal. I think the coaching let Randall down more than because he tried to lead with his feet. Because we're going that transition to Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, like when they were just starting to accept, you know, fleet, fleet-footed quarterbacks. I don't think they knew how to coach him right. I think who's a better example? Mike Vick is the number one. Donovan McNabb is another one. Who his feet was better than his accuracy.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
I think McNabb was sort of like in that Russell Wilson territory where he was fast enough to make passing plays on the run, but not fast enough to where he about to just really be consistently getting downfield on people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But to answer you, like Slash was not a good quarterback.
No, I mean he played like 4 positions though. So
yeah. Wasn't he a Heisman Trophy winner?
Yeah, I don't know if Cordell Stewart won a Heisman. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but he wasn't. He wasn't a championship.
Cordell Stewart did win a Super Bowl though, right?
Well, did he?
I don't think he won a Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. I thought they. Oh no, wait. They didn't start winning. They made it with Cordell Stewart. I don't think
came in. Yeah.
Then they started winning when Ben Roethlisberger came in. I'm about to Google right now starting black quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls.
Well, Doug Williams is number 1 from Grambling State University. Shout out to HBCUs.
Well, was he a runner? I remember that when the Redskins.
No, he wasn't. He's more.
No, drop back passer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Doug Williams. And if I could add in one other thing that just to go along with what Hoop Jargon was saying with the whole head and heart thing, and I understand people saying they want to see a certain style of quarterback win. And it's like, okay, I get that. But beyond winning one Super Bowl, most of the times people are drafting players to build a legacy. So it's like, I don't think that you could create a legacy around a running quarterback. It just doesn't seem.
Agree.
Like that doesn't seem like a smart decision to make.
Because once the legs go out, what's my man that was playing for the Panthers real quick?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, like that. Like you'll have a great year, you'll have a great run, but once people game plan for him,
absolutely.
So the most successful black quarterbacks in terms of resume, and I count resume as either winning a Super Bowl or being a Hall of Famer, are Warren Moon, Doug Williams, and Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. All 3 of them came from 2-parent families.
Mm.
And check it.
And ain't none of them, and neither of them are extremely mobile. I'm talking like fucking Jackson for the Ravens.
Right.
Lamar Jackson.
None
of them are like none of them are Lamar Jackson. And even though I think people like Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, even if they never win a championship, Kyler. I like Kyler Murray. He got to put together another good season. But I think they will stack their way into the Hall of Fame. I believe. You're gonna have so many. Lamar Jackson going to have so many rushing yards mixed with passing yards. Hell, he got an MVP. Cam Newton got an MVP. They're going to make it into the Hall of Fame. I haven't seen a quarterback like that win a Super Bowl. He was kind of close. If Jalen Hurts is kind of in the ballpark with them, so I was kind of not quite well. I'll check the stats on that. He be getting down the field. He be getting down the field pretty good. Like I don't know exactly how fast he is, but he's
okay. So I have a question.
Okay,
because we're talking about the offensive side being followers of men, right? So with these Russian quarterbacks, because like I'm in Chicago, we have I forgot the name of our quarterback, but he run around too. But our offensive line sucks. So how much of that is the entire offense needs to be men who can be led by men? Because if your offensive line can't block, then you'll find out if you got a running quarterback.
I'll help you with that. Okay, so with the offensive line, man, continuity is everything, bro. Like, you know how to block, you know the blocking scheme, but when your quarterback is too mobile, you don't know how to block for his improvisation, basically.
That's why Mike Vick and quarterbacks like him, shockingly, they lead the league in time sacked. Like they get sacked more than everybody because the offensive line, they don't know where the hell he at. They back is to him. If he in the pocket, they can protect the pocket. If he all outside the pocket, and then the defender can see him, but the person protecting him can't. So that's technically out of order. It's like it. Yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead. I need to cut you off.
Hold on. Just really quick. In Dirty Folk, if you could, because I'm the outsider. I'm just trying to catch what I just heard. Are we saying that we like to root for people who can thrive in disorder?
I'm not saying that. As a matter of fact,
I can speak on that because I enjoy watching
for the underdog.
No, it ain't about underdog. I just enjoy watching fast quarterbacks make plays out of broken plays. I can't explain it. So
I don't know, bro. I'm a huge fan of big arms. Like Brett Favre can't throw, but he can throw far. Like I saw Brett Favre do a behind the back pass like 20 yards. I was like, yo, that's dope. Like, but I'm a running back guy, like, because I play halfback in high school and college. So I'm always looking at the halfback, the fullback. So I don't even really pay attention to the quarterback. I ain't gonna lie to you. But to answer your question, I don't think it's that for me, because for me, I stopped watching basketball in 2017 when Kevin Durant won his first championship because I didn't like the way that he won it on Father's Day and all they showed was everybody's mother, and I was like, yo, this is way too matriarchal for me. I'm out. So I don't like that energy. I think that when you play a gladiator sport, I don't like pink jerseys for the NFL when they got to do breast cancer. I think if you're doing a gladiator sport, I want to see a gladiator sport. I don't want to see ballet. There is a form of ballet in it, you know what I'm saying? But I want to see. This is what I came for. You know what I'm saying? If I just want to eat hot dogs and ignore the game, I'll go to a baseball game. If I want to see a gladiator sport, I want to watch football. You know what I mean?
But yeah, we'll probably explore SKC's question a little bit. Hoop was talking, so I do want to, after I get through the super chat. I don't know if Hoop was finished and saying what he's want to say, but you do ask an interesting question. But Charles Merchant in the building said,
"What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything. Everything.
Shout out to Charles Merchant with the $10 super chat. Do appreciate it. He says, fatherless children have a natural envy for the children with intact patriarchal families. He says, never to be confused with emasculated dads that raise feminists. Well said. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Do appreciate that. Also, we got
these last $2. I'm not gonna lose.
It says my man Perfect Storm here with the $2 super chat, putting his last $2 on it. He says those Super Bowl QBs were biracial, not black. Well, of the Super Bowls, the starting quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl, we're talking Pat Mahomes was, yes, biracial. Russell Wilson, I mean, his hair a little too straight to he got something in him. He got
Japanese.
What'd you say?
I think he's black and Japanese.
Like just full-blooded Japanese and black?
I think he's like a fourth of Japanese in him. So
okay, I can see that. You know, well, I mean, hey, you know how black folks that count. He under the 10. So and Doug Williams is 100% black. So there's that. So
and with HBCU. Like, come on.
And he did. And you are what your father is, regardless what your mama told you.
Exactly.
You are what your father is. So, Pat Mahomes,
exactly.
His dad is black, so he black. That's who coached him. That was his first teacher.
The funniest quote I heard, if you go to you do your ancestry report, it'll humble a lot of you niggas who try to, govern over who's black and who's not.
Exactly. That's why I don't get too deep with that. I make a couple light-skinned jokes every now and then, but I don't get too deep with the whole I don't get too deep with the whole, who's in and who's out. I mean, but we can't be so flimsy with it that Rachel Dolezal can just make it under the tent and not nobody know. I mean, clearly there's a certain amount of ancestry where you should be like, okay, come on, bruh, like you ain't black. But either way it go. But yeah, I don't overthink that. I don't overthink that shit. But yeah, they know, of course, somebody, because dirty folks on the panel. Okay, your tribe is out. He says, "What is black?" Man, we ain't even having that conversation.
We ain't having that conversation, man. I'm not having that conversation, but I'm having this conversation, and this is why I said what your father is, because even when you're in a household and your mom got different baby daddies and all your siblings got different last names, you envy the sibling that has a good father that shows up at the McDonald's. So
even if he don't bring none for the other kids, he's still the man.
FTK, nigga, FTK. But I'm just saying, so people know the importance at a very young age of whose father is what and what they bring to the table. So like I give all credit to Pat Mahomes, for playing catch in the front yard with his pops.
Yeah, no doubt.
You mentioned about going on TikTok and making content. Man, I was in the room where day after Super Bowl, Pat Mahomes was talking about, just win the Super Bowl. And then one of the gentlemen, he works for what's that damn media outlet? They had those panels with these transgender women and
Vice.
Gentleman worked for Vice, black dude with dreads. He asked him about black fatherhood. And I just happened to catch it, like perfect. He asked me a question. I panned to Pat Mahomes. He answered the question, and in the comments, man, the comments were hilarious on TikTok. Man, it went viral, like 10K plus, views or what have you. People's like, oh, he ain't even black. He ain't even this. I'm like, his dad literally was a NFL. I'm sorry,
Major League Baseball
player, dark skinned, relatively dark skinned guy. So people just kind of project their own kind of self-test doctor. Trust me, I stayed at a what's the name of the hotel? They say I'm not a doctor, but I stayed at a
Holiday Inn or something.
Yeah. So you get these armchair specialists who try to discern what's black and what's not. It's just so funny. But he spoke about how his dad instilled morals in him and all that, and a lot of people miss the message because they just perceive Pat Mahomes as not black. And so, I just think that kind of thing is goofy as hell, man. So I just wanted to kind of interject that as we keep going forward.
While you say that, though, real quick, I just want to piggyback off that real quick, not to make it racial, but to make it color, because, it's crayon business and ain't race business. So if that's the case, is Pat Mahomes' daughter black?
I say yes. She's a fourth black, but yeah.
Okay.
She won't look it.
We just playing the color game. I like personally, that's the style you are what your father is. I stand on mine, but she's blonde hair, blue eyes. So in 2 generations of interracial dating, everybody turned white. I thought, black dominated everything.
It's a problem in Brazil. Brazil has that racial mixture thing going on a lot, and people just talking. So Bernard didn't want to go here, but
we here.
What's really black if you really want to play that game? What's really black?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I don't dig too deep into it. I really don't.
I didn't want to go there, but that's where the conversation went. But yeah,
well, I'm of the mindset if the person identifies themselves as black and they have a black parent, I'm not fighting them. Why would I?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes identified himself that way. The league identified him that way in their own run up to the Super Bowl. So
two black quarterbacks.
Why would I say anything different?
Yeah. Shout out to Nitty77 with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you. Says Bernard, don't forget Colin Kaepernick. He's biracial too. Yeah.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything.
Colin Kaepernick, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but he
did win one. He won one, didn't he?
No, he was in the Super Bowl. He didn't win it.
Yeah, I think he lost to Russell Wilson, if I'm mistaken.
No, he lost to the Ravens.
Yeah, you're right.
I thought they went back to back. I know they lost the one when the lights went out.
They came close. They lost to Russell Wilson in the so they're both in the NFC. So you remember when he threw the ball to Crabtree and Richard Sherman was like, I knew he's gonna throw that ball. He's basically called him Crabtree. Sorry.
I thought he was Arab until he decided to be on the bench and pout and got a chemical blowout and put a peace pick in his head. I always thought he was Arab.
He got that Squidward nose, but he not Arabic though.
Man, look, if I can't identify you, then we just playing crayon games. I thought he was Arab, so
yeah.
Well, he declared himself as really as the blackest person on earth when he took that knee. So there it is. He declared himself. So there it is. So he's black. Is what it is.
That's funny.
But no, that's what it is. But just for context, for those who just made it in here, don't know exactly what we're talking about, let me re-roll the clip that sparked this conversation. Re-roll the clip that sparked this conversation for those that don't know.
Different.
Hold up.
Yeah. We want mother, father, dual parent. Mm-hmm. We want that kid to be 3-5.
Hold up.
He's got to be smart.
There we go.
Quarterbacks are different.
Yeah.
We want mother, father, dual parent. Mm-hmm. We want that kid to be 3-5 and up because he's got to be smart. Mm-hmm. Not bad decisions off the field.
Hold up.
Because he has to be a leader of men. Like O-lineman, I look for dual parent homes.
Right.
A strong father that they adhered to.
Right.
Smart kid, at least 3 and above. My defense lineman's totally opposite.
What do you mean?
Single mama. Trying to get it. He's on free lunch. I mean, I'm talking about just trying to make it. He trying to rescue mama.
Yeah, so that's the clip that sparked this conversation. How where we at? There we go. The defensive linemen, and I assume by extension some of the linebackers, perhaps even a strong safety. You don't want your free safety to be too dumb because he got to pay attention, make sure that deep ball don't he the last line of defense for the deep ball, so you don't want him be making stupid plays out there. But he's basically saying those are the positions, and on offense by the way, the wide receiver is normally the most selfish, hot-headed player on the field. He's really the only one, like the unity in working in sequence, in tandem together, like there's a certain type of military precision with properly executing between the quarterback, the offensive line, the running back, and the fullback. It's a certain formality there. The wide receiver is off on his own little island yelling, throw me the damn ball. So he can have that same background as the defensive lineman. They're like KNGR saying that the wide receivers, they be divas, so there's, but he's saying it's certain positions where that mentality of hey, he don't got to be a good person, he don't got to have good grades, he don't got to be that smart, he can have a little bit of off the field trouble, he could be a little bit of a diva, he could be a little bit of a hothead, it's certain positions where we look for that kind of player, we want that kind of player. There's certain positions where your skill and your athleticism is going to trump over that, but we can't have that with our quarterback and our offensive line. So it's a interesting dynamic. I would even say, it's by in the tight end too, because the tight end is essentially part of the offensive line. So it's like it's an interesting dynamic on the type of players and positions where they filter out like we want to limit the single mother led household recruits from playing these positions, and that definitely sparked some controversy, and that's what that's what started this conversation. But go ahead.
We know life to be like in our working environments. Like my girl works in HR, but no, you met my chick we met at the meetup 2020. Mm-hmm. She doesn't talk a lot. She's the perfect mold for an HR candidate. Who's a horrible candidate is me, because I like to talk. I like to be boisterous, what I'm saying? And that's not conducive for that work environment. And it's just funny how in the sports realm, We act like we don't know these certain things that don't correlate with certain things. Meaning, it's almost like it's too obtuse when a guy like Coach Prime says it in open fashion. It's shit we know already. It's like you don't have too many hood niggas on your team because you know what's gonna happen. Too many hood niggas on your team. It's gonna be fighting every day. I say this because anecdotally I've seen it, right? So you got to have guys who are level-headed. You got to have guys who are emotionally intelligent. This, that, and the third, right? Because it affects the chemistry of your overall team dynamic, and it's not a very palatable thing to say, outrightly. But Coach Prime has shown he's that guy. He the same dude who said that he called out HBCUs of some of the deficiencies and Pop can kind of definitely speak to this of things that we do wrong as far as misappropriating funds, misappropriating staff, and it's some shit that need to be tightened up. He said, he's like, hey, you may not like it, but you can't say I'm wrong. And that's on brand with Prime, man. It's just what he does.
Yeah, I hear SKC in the back whispering,
Who jargon? Okay. And I want to do this slow because I don't, I know how some people react to the bright lights and everything. How about we just a little bit slower, who jargon?
Yep.
How about if you extrapolate that out to the coaching staff of the team? What type of men do you want on the coaching staff?
Shit.
Does it follow that same pattern?
Absolutely. You don't want a guy that wants to dethrone you as the head coach, because what you see, and just again, anecdotally speaking, being a former Division I coach and a Division I player, you want guys that complement what you do well. So if you're deficient, let's bring the football. You're more of a defensive-minded guy. You want to bring in coaches that accentuate your deficiencies. So you bring in an offensive coordinator who's really, really good at offensive coordination. So it patches up where you kind of flawed at. It doesn't determine if you're a good head coach. Your discernment and your delegation skills determine being a good coach. And in other sectors, you want guys who just are happy with the opportunity, guys who want to grow, guys who are hungry. But if you bring in somebody who is too entitled, I've seen it happen. Once you start losing, he gonna step to the AD. Hey, man, yeah, I kind of noticed these things that happen. I saw it happen twice, actually. And then all of a sudden, you're the head coach. You got to watch out for shit like that, because that literally is the determinant of your job if you're not, prudent in that fashion.
Well,
okay,
SKC, go ahead.
Okay, so what about, because even when you go on the collegiate level or on the professional level, it goes way beyond coaching staff to create in college they say a legacy program in professional football. The actual workings of a team, that has nothing to do with the athletics, and so forth. There's a whole bunch that goes behind that. How about even in those positions, who jargon? I mean, does the same principle apply?
To what again? I'm so sorry, I missed that first part.
Well, I was saying, so far as, again, we're just extrapolating a little bit further out. So let's go past the coaching staff. How about all of the other staff that connects to all of that does all of the workings of the program or the legacy of the team?
I got you.
Does the same principle apply?
Fuck yes. Okay, so going back to anecdotally what I've seen, you have a road compliance person. They will be out there to prove a point and make a player ineligible, just because in her. Well, I'm whatever. I'm tipping my hand, but they want to prove that just because a player is good, I'm gonna find a way to make him ineligible just to prove a point that y'all need to listen to me. So absolutely, your support staff, absolutely, dude. All these things play into the upper hand, the upper brass, as it were, as the product on the field, on the court. Yes. So if everybody's not in line and in sync, because here's what happens. In these compliance sectors, especially the HBCU world, you got these older Black women. And they have their own agendas. And they go unchecked, man. And I just think about this is like 2005, 2010 era. when I can see this. Now men are more emboldened to like just cut the head off that dragon. But if you don't check that shit, she'll sit back in that position and just be trying to do the little microaggressions, right? And affect the program in the way that she sees it. So if you don't peep game, if you don't nip that in the bud, yes, in a slow fashion, it's going to affect your program. So absolutely, man.
Hoop jargon.
Well, hold on, wait. I want to explore, like, SKC, when you said, you know, what type of people do you want like on the coaching staff and everything. Now, when it comes to that, and I said it before, and you know, the NBA, they're like, I think like half the coaches are, you know, like half the coaches are non-white. Put it like that. Half the coaches are non-white. I don't know how it looks in the NFL. I don't know how it look in college, but I do think that there isn't a lack of quality. There isn't a lack of quality hires out there. You know, so when it comes to recruiting kids, I understand the logic, but when you have like, you know, 30, 40 years, the last 30, 40 years of people who've went through college programs, and rather they played and then came up the ranks and started out as assistant coaches. I mean, so yeah, you do want those type of players, but it doesn't. I don't think it breaks down racially as much as you're thinking, as you're probably thinking.
Well, I haven't entered the idea of race at all, but I will state this as a comparison to what you're stating. The smaller the group, I think that you have a point. But when you go into a larger group, a larger organization with more working pieces, which is why I think making the comparison between the NBA and the NFL, that's where the issue comes in, because you're talking about managing basically 12 players versus 50 something. So when you get into that dynamics, it's like as you get into a larger organization, you need more leadership, more traditional standards, more people who understand listening to authority and following the lead.
And I was about to give an example of what I was about to ask Hoop Jargon. Hoop Jargon, do you remember Bobby Petrino?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby Petrino was the head coach at Louisville, if I'm not correct. Mm-hmm. When he got himself into a bunch of trouble, he was having an affair on his wife, and he was using I believe he was using school appropriated credit cards and expense accounts and stuff like that in order to like have his little rendezvous with the side chick. Mm-hmm. And he got caught. And it became a big problem. And Bobby Petrino got fired from Louisville, and then I think he got the Atlanta Falcons job, and that went horribly wrong. And I think he got one more job and then had another indiscretion. I can't remember what it was, and that was it. He was never seen or heard from again.
I'm gonna add to that.
Yeah.
So in the coaching rankings, so we talking about player hierarchy and like what archetypes you want for certain positions. Do you guys know that the same thing goes on for coaching? So the general
That's the point I wanted to get to.
So you bring in a young, black, relatable guy to be your recruiter, your head recruiter, and then you tag him along and basically make you better than what you are. And I'm gonna say a name, man, and you know he's a good brother. I've been knowing Uric for a long time, man. Uric Maligan, man. He went to the University of Howard. He didn't play basketball like that. And this dude is like one of the top assistants in the nation. He's currently at Kansas State, but he's been at UT, he's been at Texas Tech, he's been everywhere. Uric ain't hoop, but Uric was the guy who got Emmanuel Mudiay to come to SMU. At the time, that was a big signing. Like SMU don't get no Emmanuel Mudiay, like one of the top products, you know, in the country. And so these protocols are there at every juncture, man. And shout out to my guy Talvin Hester, man. He's the head coach at Louisiana Tech. He was one of those mercenary type black relatable coaches for a long time. He was my coach at Prairie View. I coached with him at Prairie View, and he went to San Jose State, University of Houston, Texas Tech, and now he has his own. He went to Creighton. Now he has his own gig now, having a job. But like, it's just how it works. That's how that world works. So when we kind of see it just laid out, I know it's abrasive, but that's how the conventional thinking is. And so I guess when I see it, I just know it because I've lived it and I see it up close and personal. But in the open space, it seems very obtuse, and just like, no, bro, this is just how it is. So that's why these storylines don't, it doesn't surprise me at all. So I just want to inject that to the conversation as we go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, while I was talking, I was sitting here trying to answer a question about Jalen Hurts and how much running he do. He rushed for 776 yards last season on like 165 attempts, and I'm just trying to compare that to Lamar Jackson, who, the 2 years where he rushed for over 1,000. Yeah, he got it. He rushed for 1,200 yards on 176 attempts, and he rushed for 1,000 yards on 159 attempts. Then the last 2 seasons, he missed like 4 or 5 games, so that don't really, the totals don't add up. But anyway, I was just throwing that out there because I was saying that we almost got the as SKC said, the quarterbacks that play disorderly that I like to root for. We almost kind of got one of them finally winning a Super Bowl. But I see that he kind of counts. Like, there's damn near like 1,000 yards is like the benchmark when you truly a quarterback who truly out there running that ball and making it to the point to where your offensive linemen don't even know where you at. They can't even block for you because you're running around back there so much. But that was a side note story. But shout out to Mr. C73 with the $10 super chat. Shout out to you. He says, wide receivers be like, didn't you see I was open? I'm open every play. Yep, they absolutely say that. He said only child syndrome. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Do appreciate that. And we got who we got in here? Ultra Magnus in the building says, how about you go to the highest level? Jim Irsay has like 6 DUIs and still owns the Colts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anybody got a comment on that? Because I probably missed part of the conversation where y'all was going. But what point is he making there?
I guess he's saying with you having fallacies and you still being able to be in a leadership position. But yeah,
okay.
But I don't think that's a leadership position, though. I think that's an ownership position. That's different.
Well, I mean, you're a leader, bro. It's your shit.
It depends on what kind of owner you are. There are some owners who, who basically some team owners, they hire somebody to do the hiring. You know what I mean? And so they're kind of hands off. They're just show me the quarterly reports. So it's some owners who operate like that. I think True. Mark Cuban is more hands-on. Like he's
Jerry Jones.
Like I think, Mark Cuban is running basketball operations. He probably got somebody who's the general manager, but Mark Cuban is running that. Mark Cuban making all them damn trades. He hands-on with the shit. So
sure.
Yeah. So it varies, but there's some points to be made. I guess there's a point to be made there. There's no perfect formula. There's no perfect formula, but I think he was referring to what SKC was trying to pin down. If these are the type of people that you want at quarterback, then by extension, you would want these type of people at all the various coaching positions and all the varying managing positions. And then I think I teased it out when I was doing some research. I teased it out how they'll hire they'll have certain people doing the recruiting or being the front man or being a player's coach specialist, but don't let them, rank up. I think Christian said that in the chat room. They very rarely rank up to all the way to becoming a head coach. They just be a position specialist and things like that. So I think that was the conversation, if I'm not mistaken. But I kind of.
Oh, Bernard.
Yeah, and go ahead, Pablo.
I wanted to speak to one thing that Hoop Jargon was saying about HBCUs and the financial, the fiscal responsibilities that Deion was alluding to about HBCUs. He is Hoop Jargon is absolutely right. Think about this. Howard University, that is quote unquote the Harvard of HBCUs, they had a financial.
Wait, did I hear somebody laugh when he said the Harvard of HBCUs?
Yeah, I laughed, bro. I visited Howard. God bless him. I ain't got nothing bad to say. All them hills, they'll be all right.
I concur with that, dirty folk.
That's the way it's viewed in HBCU circles. I'm not passing a value judgment, yes, yay or nay. I'm just saying that's what is commonly said. All right.
Okay.
So they had some issues about 2 years ago where their financial record keeping was such that they were about to lose accreditation, not because of their academics, but because the numbers wasn't right. The books wasn't properly prepared. Because what happens is, even though they're a private institution, they do receive federal money when you're talking about students that are on Pell Grants and student loans and all of this kind of stuff. And that stuff has to match up. When it doesn't, and this is how Morris Brown lost their accreditation and lost their school. When those numbers don't match up with the funding that they're giving you, you lose when your accreditation goes, it's not just in one area, it's all inclusive. You lose your academic.
But you know what they said, Pablo, about those numbers? Somebody put the money in their hand. They said, "Make it enough."
Hey, look, man. This not my show, bro. This not my show. But you know what I was thinking, right? My first thought was, yeah.
Wait a minute. What's this? This ain't enough. Make it enough.
I ain't gonna lie, bro.
That's what they told him.
Bro, my first thought though was like, you notice that girls can't count 10 months a year, then for 2 months they all tax return specialists. Like I just figured it was a chick. But you ain't hear from me because I'm being good today, bro. I ain't got nothing to say about the toddlers today, man. But that was my first thought though. Like, yo, they cooking the books, yo.
And the thing that I was just saying with that, Pablo, is this, and I know I'm slow leaking it out to people, but I just, because I like for people to just grasp what is really being talked about, well, in my mind, the larger implications as to how you order a team, you guys are linking that to how a family is ordered. So if that's the case, then what does that tell you about society as a whole and the community?
Girls don't know stuff. They just do stuff.
Yeah, it's crumbling. I mean, it's in the condition that it's in for a reason. Society, you know, we can see it. The writing is on the wall. But it's funny that most people won't look at it and apply it in that way that you're putting it. Most people won't look at it and apply it in that way that you're putting it. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
But no, let me add this. So you know, I've been a salesman for almost 9 years now. Before then, I was a teacher in SKC from Houston, like me. So he know the landscape. North Houston. I taught 4 years, and all this stuff is prevalent all across the board, man. These stereotypes, as they were when you kind of can see a 2-parent household leading to a certain ilk of kid coming out. We noticed it. Like, so I was a middle school teacher and a coach. We could see it. The kids with 2-parent households, they were easy to deal with. We knew that if they were out of pocket, I could text or call the mom or father, and the situation is squashed.
Whoa! Here's the difference with that.
Go ahead.
Because you sound like you went to school in the 90s. Check this out. Here's the difference. Because I just had this conversation with my boy probably last year. He said he went to a parent-teachers conference.
Mm-hmm.
With his wife. He and his wife went, I think it was a report card pickup or something. Their kid wasn't in trouble. but they just went up there, he and his wife. And I had just recently left a meeting with somebody who was, they owned an art gallery, but their son worked at Quaker Oats, and I was trying to get a Pepsi sponsorship. So anyway, so I went with a young lady friend of mine, and when I went, I'm talking to the woman, and I'm talking to her plain as day. And every time she responded to my girl, who didn't know anything about my business. But my girl, she was smart though, but she was just, referring back to me. So when I talked to my boy about going this his whatever, report card pickup, whatever, I said, when the teacher spoke to you about your son, because my boy is a very involved father, right? I said, did the teacher speak to you, or did she speak to your wife and you were there? And he had to think about it. And he was like, yo, bro, you did it again. I was like, he's like, man, I said, because I know when you're dealing with these liberal women, they don't even regard the father. They think the father is just there now. Like in the 90s, they used to call my dad, and my dad had to come up to the school, and it was a big deal. Like, oh my God, his dad came up here. But now they don't even care if you have a dad. The whole, even when they do recruiting, like Deion said, Deion doesn't have to recruit two parent sons that hard, because daddy know who Deion Sanders is. You know what I'm saying? They have to recruit mothers hard and say, man, with a fab statement. Fab statement is your features, advantages, and benefits. They have to hit the mom with the fab statement, and a couple other might have to hit it with a couple of dollars, like what happened with Alabama. That time that boy went to Florida instead, and his mom came out there in all that Alabama gear because she took that check, but nobody wanted to admit she took that check. Like the way that they finesse women is like you finesse a girl at the club. But with dads, you don't have to go through that. So I which goes back to what Deion was saying. So I got you, bro, but it's different now, bro. Like they don't give a damn about dudes, man. Like
you say they don't care about what?
They don't care about dudes. They don't see you as an authority position in your family. They don't they think that they can say anything to your wife and she gonna make it right to you. You know what I'm saying? They the way they disregard men in the education system.
Well, right. Well, because women usually show up more than men do. So what you're saying is incorrect. But however, when the family dynamic is intact, you know to go through the pops. Like you know that.
I agree with you.
Because and I say that again, I was with my guy Talvin. He came out here to LA and to recruit two players, and I don't want to say what players it is and what situation, but I saw one situation as a single mom. He talked to the mom. But when it was two parents, he spent all his time talking to pops. Because he understands, like, when you have a nuclear family, man, it goes through pops. So, I peep game on both of those situations because one was a high school kid, one was a junior college kid.
You know what?
I don't think it's
no, bro.
Per se.
No, bro. I spoke out of turn. You're right. Because you just said you're talking about coaches talking to parents. You're right. I was talking about teachers talking to parents, which are normally women. You're right, bro. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, because people assume, to your point, they assume in the teaching field, because it's female dominated, first off. Let us all understand that. They assume that the mother's the matriarch. And so that's kind of how the conversation is funneled, to your point. So you didn't really speak out of term like you think you may have. Because, that's the culture. But all I'm saying is ultimately, from Coach Prime's point, when you got guys who have a more balanced household, it's so much easier to deal with, man. It's so much easier to deal with because you can't put hands on these kids like that. You can't talk to them gruff like that. Because you know what happens, man. This is the technology age. You can get a camera phone on you, right? Saying the wrong thing, and you're done. So it's like, how can I eliminate these scenarios? So let me put myself in the best position with the best type of archetype of kid, so I ain't got to worry about all that dumb shit. And that's what this whole conversation really is, ultimately.
All right. Hey, so one thing that I'm about to pull up, something that I was talking about earlier in the show, I want to switch gears on this real quick because I was about to wrap it up, but I'm going to actually bring back some of the stuff I talked about earlier in the show. So I want to get y'all raw reaction to this. clip from, I think, either the late 70s or the 80s. And I don't even know, SKC, let me know. I don't even know if you even saw this one, but I'm going to just play it. Here we go. It ain't got nothing to do with the topic, by the way. Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of related, but it ain't got nothing to do with the topic technically, but let's go.
Going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility. And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
I don't think that you have to reprogram men. I think you have to reprogram women.
No, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because you know women, as long as we can get, we're gonna get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
I already talked about that in the beginning of the show. It's real quick. SKC, have you seen that one before?
No, I have never seen that before. That's quite interesting, and I believe I have some content to make soon.
8-hour stream.
I just wanted to throw you a nice little alley-oop, SKC.
Give them the link. Give them the link.
Yeah, I put that link in the private chat right now. Well, no, it's on BGS's community tab. It's on BGS's community tab, so you can find it. You can find it right there.
You know what it reminds me of, though, that I think that I'll probably link it to. There was this content creator. I don't know if you ever heard of For Harriet.
Yeah, I know about that.
She's like some type of black feminist, and I was forwarded a clip from her, and she was recommending some books and stuff, and one of the authors that she recommended was this black feminist, and she wrote a poem to young black boys, and this is like in the late 60s. And I would say the gist of the poem basically was stating to raise your black boys to be angry, violent radicals to take on white men. And that going to jail and different things is a good thing because it shows that they are not bowing down to the white man.
Okay, what year was that written? There's a year,
late 60s.
Okay, yeah, late 60s. I don't think that's raise them to go to jail.
Yeah,
that sounds bad. But I put it like this: there's a time in our history where that's not an inappropriate statement. I'll just say that. I mean, it's a time in our history we'll raise them to be radical to fight the system that oppresses us. The problem is that people still have that, that same mentality as if we're still fighting the old war. The war right now is, is economics, and are you taking the necessary steps to make sure that you're successful and your family's successful and all? It's not the lay down and die for the cause type of fight no more. It's a different fight nowadays. But there was a time when that wasn't necessarily a bad statement. Maybe. No. I'll definitely say there was a time when that wasn't a bad statement. But y'all could agree, disagree with me on that one. But the clip that I played, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns.
Well, Bernard, I have a question. You're more maybe the red pill community can help me.
Okay.
With this is my problem with that part of the clip. How do you quote unquote forcibly make someone do something in a culture of individual freedoms and liberties that they fundamentally
that is the reoccurring theme on my show, where I talk about the simple fact that if you had when they try to gaslight and say, nope, it's your fault, you the man, you the leader, your fault. And it's like, okay, everybody got their own individual life, liberty, freedom, pursuit of happiness, and they doing what they want to do. Yes, you as an individual man can basically say, no, this individual woman that I'm going to deal with, she's going to act a certain way, or I'm not going to deal with her. You could say that, but then when you extrapolate it on the macro scale, and you got a bunch of women that got a thought process like that, then no, it's a wrap on the macro scale. You just can move as an individual and not put up and tolerate with that stuff, and then you'll notice that there's a smaller percentage of women within this environment that you're actually going to be dealing with seriously. Like that's how that ultimately plays out.
All right. I just wanted to, yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a different take, but I want to be slaves and I want to give them what they're looking for.
Oh, hold on, real damn. So when I gave my take at the beginning of it, I said that statement that she made right there justifies certain levels and degrees of chauvinism, because if she's basically saying is that if it's her nature to just to push back and try to get away with or do whatever to you, whatever she's allowed to get away with, good, bad, or otherwise, she's going to try to do it, and it's your job to ultimately stop her from doing it. And she's only going. She her default is to basically treat you bad until you stop her and make her not do it. Then at that point, there's no such thing as, oh, she's a good woman. If we accept that premise, it's she's only being good because you're not allowing. She's only being good because you're not allowing her to be bad. So at that point, yeah, certain degrees of chauvinism is on the table. So I understand exactly where you're going with either certain degrees of chauvinism or just turning around, just walking away, not dealing with women who operate like that. That's it. Either be a chauvinist or walk the hell away.
So you saying that Ike Turner was right?
Ike Turner was absolutely right. Oh my God, Ike Turner should get a T-shirt, man. Let me tell you something, bro. This is a philosophy I've had in my life since I was a teenager. Everything's my fault. I just accept it. No matter, I don't have to be there. It's my fault. So if it's my fault, it's my fix. And if it's my fix, you need to sit down while I fix it. So if you are not going to sit down while I fix it, it's not my problem. And I'm fine with it either way. But if you're going to be here, then everything I say goes, because only I'm wholly responsible for what's going on. You are the star player. They don't fire the star player. They fire the coach. I am the coach. So when I pull you up and put you on the bench and sit you down with a speech, it is what it is. They talk, but with clothes on. Like, nothing they say with clothes on really surprises me. I just saw a girl have a fight in a garage, and in the middle of the fight, she saw somebody filming it, start twerking, and then kept fighting. I don't.
Damn.
I don't take anything seriously that they say, and I question men who do listen to girls with clothes on. But bro, nah, she wants to be stopped. She needs to be stopped. She wants to be. she wants to.
Listen, I'm gonna chime in real quick if I may.
I thought you had a different take though. Everything you said was in line with yeah. You go ahead.
Well, let me say this, man. It's almost like what Patrice O'Neal said way back in the Gap, man. My favorite comedian. You could say he's one of the pillars of the manosphere, whatever. He was like, I don't listen to fish to tell me how to fish for them. I look at fish tendencies. So that kind of goes with like, so, she's giving the game up. She's like, yeah, this is what we do. So you tie that into what Coach Prime's doing. I've seen enough of what tendencies are of players, and you don't dictate the terms. And there's a saying in coaching, man, if you're going to get fired your way. Because if you get fired trying to capitulate to other people's standards, you left a lot of meat on the bone, as it were. So I'm good with all that. So it's just funny that she says that, because it's like, bitch, I already know that. I know what you hoes are on. I know that. So I'm gonna do my program the way I do my program, regardless if you're gonna call me misogynist, you're gonna call me controlling, you're gonna call me all those little common tropes that you hear. Because I understand the grand scheme of things is when it fails, it's on me. So if it's on me, I'm gonna do it my way.
Yep.
So we agree on slavery? Nah, it's just me.
Oh shit.
Well, slavery is a strong word, but there are certain degrees of
okay.
I won't say oppression, but there women. Okay. Some women would call it oppression, but there's certain degrees of it that that in the name of a relationship functioning, that she would that I think she would have to accept.
Can we agree on indentured servitude then? She could buy
What
her
you
way
say?
out. Indentured
Huh?
servitude then? She could buy her way out.
She
Indentured
can leave at
servitude.
any moment. She can leave
All
at
right.
any moment.
All right. At will
It's
employment, indentured servitude. All right, I roll with that.
yeah, she can leave. She can leave at any moment. But yeah, I think when when a man relinquishes aspects of control in a relationship, it opens it up for that type of mentality that the woman in the video was talking about. That, oh, you give me an inch, I'm gonna take a mile. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be out of control here. I'm gonna be out of pocket here. I'm gonna challenge and fight you on shit just because I can. It's like so like when we're talking about that, now granted, listen, I think what she described, there's varying levels of that in most women, but some with other women is on steroids. For the women where that type of thought process and mentality is on steroids, then yeah, no. It's a no-go for me. I ain't trying to alpha my way through that shit. So in that regard, it's an absolute no-go. But there is certain there's certain levels of it where she's admitting that they have to relinquish control, but depending on how bullheaded and stubborn she is, that's what dictates how much that man is going to have to be forceful in his attempt to control her. Like I don't even think she realized it, or maybe she does realize that she's low-key lightweight advocating for damn near violence against women, depending on how bullheaded they're willing to be in their pursuit to buck the system. She's basically saying we got to reprogram. Listen to what she said. She said we got to reprogram and condition men to basically get these women in line, because we're going to be out of line. Okay, well, what steps and methods are these men supposed to take to get these women back in line? Just politely ask them to sit down and shut the hell up. It's like from what I see it, and especially when we see a lot going on in the black community, she's advocating for she's advocating for violence. I see it that extreme. Sorry. All right. Christian Hutchinson in the building says these women want a man that's so far ahead of her that she is incapable of influencing an outcome. Basically, high value man marrying women cashiers at Walmart. I see where you're going. You could argue that she's advocating for a power dynamic that extreme, but I don't know if I don't think it's like that. I think what she's saying is that what she's essentially saying is I'm going to be out of pocket and buck the system at every turn. Mm-hmm. Are you man enough, alpha enough to make me stop? Okay, now what what things must he do to make her stop?
This sounds weird, man. It almost sounds like a like you're saying, deal with children, and a spanking is in order or something. No.
SKC, I'm not saying that. It's not that I'm saying that.
I know what she's saying.
Those are the implications of what she's saying.
Right. So that's why I said it sounds weird to me, because it does lead toward that final outcome of, okay, well, you're talking about basically an adult dealing with a child, and I don't know, that puts me in a weird headspace, because I'm not saying for anybody else, I'm just throwing it out there as an idea, but if a person is like that mentally, I don't see where the attraction comes from at that point, but that is what it is.
Yeah, I'm done. That's zero. There's zero attraction. Yeah.
Okay, SKC, I'm saying that. I call them toddlers every day. I'm saying that. And I tell my guys all the time, there is no good or bad woman, because every woman is good according to women. There's only trained and untrained toddlers. You know a good child from a bad child? You know the child you want to give candy to?
So let's go into that mentality, dirty folks. So then my counter to that would be, Okay, so dirty folk, if you know that that's the case, then why be attracted to a toddler?
There you go.
Okay, because I don't care if she's 4 or 74, her emotional intelligence won't go past prepubescent age. So th- there's no out to that. This is okay. This is what I mean. When you're dealing with a woman will always challenge to see what her parameters are. That's what anybody, men do it too. See how far you can get away with. But men stop. Men say, okay, I can call him a punk, but I can't call him a B, right? Like, yeah, this is as far he that's his limit.
Mm-hmm.
Women will be like, hold my line, Marita, I'm gonna keep it pushing. You can give a woman 90% of everything, there'll still be a woman pushing for that last 10%,
Well,
right?
and I'm gonna throw a few of you underneath the bus. Like I know these bros, they ain't gonna get mad at me. So I'm pretty sure that Hoop Jargon, Pablo, and Bernard do not have to deal with a situation where uh, their chicks are like, I'm about to go off unless you just check me at every single angle. I don't think that their
Nobody
relationships are like that.
No,
nobody has
no.
that type of energy. Nobody has that type of energy. You have to
Okay,
know
so
when to
so
hold it
so
and when to
then my
push.
so then my question comes in is, okay, if there are people that are out there like that they know that the other person, in what you're describing is that these females are going to be acting that way, then what comes to my mind is, how does that turn you on?
Some men are
How do
okay,
you
okay,
find that
okay.
as attractive in any
Oh,
way? And if so, then doesn't that put the man in a pretty weird headspace?
yeah, but with that being said, sir, y- with that being said, those are two. What you will deal with and what another man will deal with are two totally separate things. Like
Mm.
there, what the girls my cousin dates, I would never touch.
Okay,
Like
so
what?
so let me let me describe it like this. What I'm just to make it blatantly apparent for everybody that's in the chat. I
Hey,
think
wait,
there's a
hold on,
big
Christian.
difference.
Hold on, Christian. Christian, we can hear you breathe down there, man. I don't know if you got to move the mic away from you.
Oh, you do
Yeah,
this
I was.
Darth Vader thing.
Somebody was sounding like Darth Vader on the show yesterday, and as soon as you came back, I heard Darth Vader again. So yeah, yeah, do
So
something with
so
that.
so what I'm saying, dirty folks, is this, just to make it blatantly apparent. I think that there's a big difference between someone who is attracted to, let's say, a normally functioning woman, and then the women who were on, or the girls that were on the short bus.
Okay, so this
There's something going on in your mind. You're not attracted to both.
no.
Something's wrong.
Wait. What I am attracted to that look, you're talking. You're okay. I'll give you a perfect example because somebody said something. Oh, Omega said something, and I'm gonna put a spin on what Omega said because Omega said not all men know when to stop. Some need to be stopped permanently. Here's my issue with that. Well, it's not an issue. I agree with you. Here's my thing with that. Every man knows at some point he ain't going. When it's another man, men are built for combat. I'm not going. I'm looking at peripheral. If you say the wrong thing, I'm looking at your waist, all that, checking the space between me and you, all that. When it's a man, you know that you are in a battle situation when a man decides not to stop, and we're gonna see if this immovable force can stop this unstoppable object, right? With women, they do the same thing, but guys don't take it there because it's a girl. They don't use the same discernment because for some reason you think girls are adults and this also gentle. No, either they toddlers and you have to correct your toddler and put them in timeout or something, or they're adults and they get all this smoke. So in order not to give all the smoke, you train your toddler like, baby, don't do this, don't touch the stove. And then if they touch the stove, you send them back to their mother. Like, yo, you can go back to your mama house. I only had you 4 days a month anyway. That's that's how you have to play it. Now, God, you're asking me about women whom you would not date that I would not date, but I know guys who would date those women. I know guys who need that hug from the mother they never got so bad that they'll deal with the abuse because they've always been abused. They think abuse is love. That's the Stockholm syndrome. That's why I don't trust dudes that marry black women. Because I'm like, yo, when they come to you and they tell you stuff like, yo, you need to be with me because I understand your struggle. And I'm like, shorty, who told you I want to struggle?
So
You know
so
what I'm saying?
Pavlov's dog, but just described in a more carnal way.
Yeah. Shout out to Pavlov's dog, man. And shout out to you for using it correctly in a sentence, man.
Pavlov's dog. Wow. Yeah. So I just want to jump in real quick. So this is what I've experienced, and then I'll just use my own marriage as a example. What I've learned over the years is what these women want is that you have everything so planned out and thought out that you beat them to the punch before they even thought about it. So I'll give an example. When the pandemic kicked off and like everything got shut down, my wife was running around panic, like what we're going to do. Everything. I said, oh, well, we have medical supplies. We have 3 weeks of water. We have, I already bought like food supplies. We have all that. We're not worried about anything. She's like, oh, so then she doesn't have to do anything. Then like in the spring, when it was apparent that the kids weren't going to be able to go back to school because of remote learning, again, like, oh, what are we going to do for work? This. I said, oh, well, I already have 4 tutors lined up. They're coming to the house. We're going to interview them, and we're going to have kids. We're going to have tutors sit with our kids while they do remote learning. Like you basically you are sitting, you're thinking so far ahead. You're 6 to 12 months down the line on everything they could even think about, that when it's on their doorstep, you already had the solution for them. And that's what these women are looking for.
Yeah, I
Daddy.
think
They're
you're
looking for
giving the
daddy.
normal. Hold on, real quick. I think you're giving the normal, healthy relationship explanation of what she's saying, and I think you're right. I think what that woman was talking about, I don't think she was talking about that. I don't think she was talking about some things. Some things came up, and what are we going to do? Oh, you already got it figured out. Cool. No. She was basically saying, I'm out to damn near seek and destroy some shit until you, unless you jump in and somehow stop me from seeking. Like she's basically saying her default is to destroy some shit.
No, but
or
I'm
destroy
saying,
you,
but
or
I'm
to
but,
fight you, or to
but
be like that's what she was getting at.
no,
That's
I'm
what she was
saying
getting at.
you're so far ahead of them that they're incapable to even enact plans. That's what what they're looking for is you're so much more sophisticated than them. You're so far ahead of the punch that they can't even do it. Like even if that's their default, that they can't even. You got ICBMs and they're working with rocket launchers.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I get the feeling that with your wife, if you didn't have the pandemic already planned out 6 to 7 months in advance, that that she would have had some panic, but it wouldn't be a situation where she is looking at it from the perspective of you have to control my bad nature. My bad nature is to be the damn pandemic. Like that's what I heard that chick saying. Her nature was to be the pandemic, and you have to plan against the pandemic that is me. That's what I heard her saying.
Well, what's going to happen is when they're in a high pressure situation, they're going to react irrationally, or they're going to panic and they're going to start making decisions just because of they can, or just because there's no guardrails in place to stop them. That's what I'm saying. That
I understand that in a normal relationship with a normal healthy woman, that is true. You gotta be on point as a man to where she doesn't fly off the she doesn't panic when a situation happens. I get that, and I understand that. That. So I think you're explaining it because okay, there's a when they talk about a man, being a leader, there's a functional way to have that conversation, and then there's the he got to be able to handle me way of having that conversation. When they got that he got to be able to handle me energy, I don't think the healthy male leadership stuff that you're talking about applies. I think there's a certain type of woman that no, like that doesn't necessarily apply to, even though you are right that if you meet if you meet a sane human being that is a female, then what you're saying does apply. That's what I'll say to that.
I'm gonna ask this question for the brother. How long have you been married?
10 years. Will be 11 years this year.
Okay, and you seem like you speak from a sense of like extreme stability. You know, personally, I've been in my relationship for 2 years, so I understand where you're talking about because there's maintenance. You know, with a woman who's worth maintaining.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of that corner level shit. This is like that dating pool you met on Tinder and like, all right, this broad is out of there. So you gotta learn how to slay that dragon a different way. And the way you slay that dragon is you setting boundaries, and they're hard boundaries because, like she said, she basically gonna get away with what you let her get away with. A woman who's worth marrying, you generally don't have to even go through that stage, right? It's just like tweaking things, you know, once you kind of get down the road and all right, let's make sure everything's on point. That level is like the, Bowser and Mario. Like you got to come in with firepower. And with those kind of people on that level, you really have to set boundaries hard because they really walk through life thinking they can just do whatever. And I tell like, I'm 39 years old. I tell women my age who I see are kind of in that rebellious state, who they're probably not going to find a husband. I'm like, you got to understand there are 2 million more of y'all than us in this country. And they don't really see it that way until it's like brutally obvious when they're 50. So that's kind of what Bernard's kind of alluding to, that this unreasonable, unattainable ilk of women. You got to come at them harsher because they just don't have the fundamental level of agreement.
Well,
partner.
It's just not women who engage in this. You're talking about people who are living hand to mouth. When you have people who engage in that, they're living hand to mouth and they're unable to see past what's going to happen in the next 48 hours. This is essentially the behavior you get. I mean, I'm using the most extreme example, right? But this is why you have a hierarchy of needs. And so when people don't have their most basic needs being met, that's why they buck the system and blow through stop signs and guardrails so hard, because they have no incentive to, because they don't know what the next day is going to hold. As you become more stable. Now, I remember what it was like when I was first starting out. I couldn't think 6 or 12 months in advance. I was just trying to think about, I got to make it to the next paycheck, or I need to make it in the next 30 days. And I used to make some poor decisions when that was my situation. But when you're able to think 12 months, 24 months, 36 months down the line, you can make very good decisions because you have time. B, you're not under direct. There's all sorts of things you can do, and that filters down to whoever you're involved with, whether it's your spouse, your friends, your family. If you're at a job, I mean, everyone's been at a job where the company's bleeding money, and everyone's just making decisions just to make decisions to try to get to the next day. Versus business is good, money's coming in, and people can sit back and say, okay, how are we really going to do this correctly? And people take the time and do it correctly, versus cutting corners or just to try to meet some arbitrary deadline.
Yo, okay. I want to say this real quick. I want to add on because he said boundaries. That's just the starting point. But I agree with you. You have to evoke penalties. Women thrive off penalty, not boundary. Boundary is be at work at 9 o'clock. Penalty is I write you up at 9:06. You have to have the boundary with the penalty. She has to be able to lose something in order for her to get the lesson, because they blow through stop signs. And so what the gentleman was just saying, he said that was very misogynist, sir. Your whole hand to mouth example, that was misogyny. I felt that way before, but I'm a man. Women can't starve in the United States unless they own heroin, bro. Like, and the more they get, the more belligerent they get because they have their basic needs met. I agree with you, but I was just saying you're a misogynist, sir. That's a very, very, very manly way of seeing it.
What how's that misogynist saying if people are living hand to mouth? Saying people are living hand to mouth.
Okay, what type of women live hand to mouth? And I watch NFL stuff, and I think one of the people that pissed me off the worst, and I can't find this show, was More Than an Athlete. What's his name? Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall and dude that used to play for the Jaguars. They had a poverty contest. One was like, "Yo, we live five people in a 1 bedroom apartment." The other one like, "We would live 8 people in one room, and we had to walk down the hall to go to the bathroom." And they all had this dream, like Primetime was talking about, of making it to the league to buy their mama a house. So they're making lifetime decisions at 12 years old, right? to save a girl who didn't really need to be saved from her bad decision making. So, but if she doesn't make bad decisions, because if she made bad decisions like that, you wouldn't date her. You would not date a woman with 6 kids living in a 1 bedroom. You just would not. So you don't have to save her from. You wouldn't deal with that type of girl. And if she already had her stuff together, now you're talking to her as far as a partner. You're not talking to a person that would have to live hand to mouth. And I'm just saying that because America won't let girls starve. I'm not saying you wrong. I'm just saying that only applies to men. Only men can starve in America unless you do heroin.
Oh no, I mean women can starve. And this isn't just about what doesn't happen just to women. This is just people in general. When their basic needs are not met, that's why that woman is behaving the way she is. Because her when you start talking about her basic needs, she's so low that those are so low, or that's so below par that what happens is her ability to rationally think are gone. And now I get what you're saying, that
are you talking about the woman that was speaking?
Yeah,
I think that was somebody said that was Angela Davis.
That wasn't Angie. It didn't look like.
Okay, that didn't look like Angela Davis.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what she looked like just in the snap of a finger, but no, I viewed that woman that was speaking as a more sophisticated, educated woman who was on TV to talk for black people. Like they normally don't find starving hand to mouth people to do that gig. So, but
are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? I mean, when they had we had that eviction thing. They had that lady have an eviction advocate, and she had the dude standing in the patio looking through the window, and you could tell by the clothes she was wearing that she was not up the economic ladder.
Yeah, I didn't hear poverty in her voice. I saw I just heard a lot of justification for bad female actions. That's what I heard. But I mean, there's something to how people think when they are hand to mouth or living in poverty. But what I've noticed is that when it comes to a lot of women, and perhaps she was trying to advocate for those who are living in that situation. But what I'm saying is I hear a lot of the same arguments coming from those who are more sophisticated and doing better in life versus those who are, in that, ghetto, living in the ghetto in a hand to mouth situation.
Well,
when it comes to male female social dynamics, a lot of them they analyze it the exact same way. I've been paying close attention to that, and so that's the angle that I tend to take on this.
It's just not the people living hand in the mouth; it's the people feeding from the trough of the ecosystem that feeds it too. That will often defend the behavior. Because let's put it like this: let's say I'm a social worker, and my job is to, even though they may advocate, my goal is to get people off the system. They know deep, as crazy it sounds, if there's not enough people coming to their office, their hours are going to be cut and they're going to be removed. Maybe they suffer ramifications. So there is something to the people who are within this ecosystem will have perverse incentives. It's no different than when you looked at with law enforcement, when you had with drug laws, it became a perverse incentive system. It became less about safety and became more about trying to fill the coffers of paying for bonds of new jails or police complexes. It wasn't about trying to keep drugs off the streets. It was about trying to make money. In a lot of cities, a lot of jurisdictions got caught with their hand in the cookie jar doing that sort of stuff, because you're like, well, you're not trying to, this isn't public safety. This is basically this is nothing but this is just extortion via the tax man. That's what you're essentially doing.
All right, real quick. Freeman's Journal in the building with a $10 super chat. He says, "Power never concedes. Men have to take power and enforce consequences."
Okay.
Real quick, Pablo. When you talk about taking power, are you talking about one-to-one interpersonal relationship? Or are you talking about men taking political power, which would be also ultimately taking political power from men to enforce certain rules, restrictions, regulations, and or consequences on a society that I don't know exactly what you mean. If you meant the former or the latter on that one. He says there is no other option. Men have to accept this and take power, else women get nuclear codes. No one wants that. Thank you for the super chat. Do appreciate that. Go ahead, Pablo. We about to wrap this up pretty soon, but go ahead, Pablo. What you got?
Yeah, so I got something for Chris and for Freeman's Journal. First for Chris. Chris, I live in Atlanta. This ain't Detroit, my brother.
It can be worse down there sometimes.
Well, what I'm saying is we got a lot of black professional women, some of them of whom make more than you. Okay. And they still talk like the girl in the video.
Toddler's gonna toddle.
Correct, because they're probably feeding off of the system in some sort of way, and they have no idea.
No. Well, and let me give you an example. I know a woman who owns a string of weave salons where they go and they buy these bundles of hair, and she got about 3 of them. She's a millionaire. The system she's feeding off is other black female customers. So, and she holds the same ideology as the woman in the video. You got to make me do right. Kind of.
Okay, and I can tell you exactly why she would probably hold it, because again, her customer base, so the customer base. I don't mean to say this like as a stereotype. They're probably doing things such as accessing the system. They might be trading food stamps for dollars, or doing other things to pull money out of the system. That money flows directly into her business for buying weave or whatever else.
I do not believe that they thinking that far ahead in the economic.
I don't either.
Okay, but they're directly. This is no different than why we don't cut off. So here's a perfect example. When people talk about wanting to cut off like SNAP benefits or food stamp benefits, you know who's the biggest people who push back on it? The grocers, like the Walmarts and Targets of the world, because that's going to affect their bottom line.
They get their money up front from that.
I understand that from a corporate business perspective, but on the ground, these women aren't thinking.
But even the small.
She was talking about some interpersonal relationship stuff, and I think you're applying too many economics to it. They're not going
that road. Listen to me. Let me finish. What they are doing is parroting the talking points of their peers and their mothers before them. They're not bringing up any new thought process or thinking about the economy that's feeding them and all of that. No, they are repeating a cultural talking point, and they are living out that cultural mantra. Okay, has nothing to do with none of that other stuff that you talked about. You might think about that, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't.
So,
and
to Freeman's Journal's point, I want to address that before we get up. To Freeman's Journal's point, quote unquote, taking power. How do you take power from people who outnumber you in a representative democracy?
That's easy. And I actually gotta start my show, so this is gonna be the last thing I say. Easy. A broke toddler is the best toddler. You're asking how do you dictate that? 12 million of these toddlers are broke. They on Section 8 or some type of housing assistance.
They're not toddlers, sir. They're adults.
No, they toddlers. They just adult-sized toddlers.
I don't agree with that.
They should not be able to vote, but they just adult-sized.
I do not agree with the talking point that quote unquote women are toddlers. No, they're adults. They are adults.
They're adult-sized toddlers,
and they have freedoms and rights to do the things that they do. They do. You don't like it, but they.
No, I don't have to like it or dislike it. It don't change the fact that they have the emotional maturity of 4-year-olds. What I'm saying is that the more that they have, the less that they have to listen to leadership, because they see leadership as protection and provision. So if they already have provision, the less they'll listen to leadership. So I don't necessarily think it's an economic thing. I think the broker they are, the more compliant they are to following instructions.
How are you going to take them? Again, how you going to take them? How?
I just told you.
You can't.
Wait, no. Explain that again. Hold on. Wait. Explain it again, dirty folks. How do you take it?
Because If you're looking for people who need opportunity, subsidy, or leadership, you get them at the grassroots. You don't wait until somebody else's system dictates that. You have a parallel system that works for you, and people are jumping to it. People do it all the time. That's why you still have Amish and Mormon.
Tell me physically how you gonna take it from? How you gonna stop them? Tell me.
All power is physical. Sanctions is a display of power, and that has nothing to do with physical force. You figure out a
How?
way to impose your
You
will.
still hadn't told me how. You just can't just giving me
I
words.
just hey, I gotta start my show. I'll say how on my show, man. Put somebody put the link in the description.
Benefits? Are you
All
gonna
right.
But
tell me?
Drop Dirty Folks link. Drop Dirty. Okay, there goes Dirty Folks link right
So
there.
Pablo,
let me start my
I
show.
think I know what he's saying. What he's saying is that that basically if you have a system or you have something that's in parallel that competes against the uh what their current subsistence is, that they would choose that as a better option because of XYZ. Now, what happens is we do have that. You have men that they can get married to. But the problem is that at this point, the level of subsistence that they can have from with no questions asked, no requirements, it's of such levels that a man has to make $75,000-$80,000 to outcompete that, and that's where the frustration is. So it's not like that they're getting subsistence and they're living that of someone who makes $20,000 or $25,000 a year. They're getting subsistence, and subsistence is equal to about a $50,000-$60,000 household.
Yeah, about 50. Yeah.
And so when you have that, what happens is you have to not only cover what the subsistence is, you have to then provide the additional incentive where it's like, okay, it's just kind of like, I can give you $2,000 right now, no question asked. You can do whatever you want. Or what happens is I'm going to give you $4,000 and you're going to have to do certain things that I ask you to do. And so which one are people going to take? So at 2,000, 4,000 is pretty easy. What happens was 2,000 and 2,500. I say, well, just give me my 2,000 and leave me alone. So that's what we've created a system of, that we have such.
That's why the system fails. That's why the system of the institution of marriage and family structure and all of that. That is a big part of the reason why it fails. She either could get her basic needs met from the system, or get a job and have the system subsidize the rest. So if she make enough from a job, then that's still it puts us sort of in the situation where the chick that I had on my show, that she looked at marriage just does it add joy and pleasure to my life? That's it's we got a system where that's the case. We got a system to where that's the case.
That. But show me the parallel to that is being offered now, not in Manosphere Talk Land.
No,
that's wait. Let him ask the question. Let him ask the question. I want to hear the question.
Show me the parallel system that is being offered right now that takes that quote unquote power back. Not
nothing. Nothing. I think that's when that's why I was asking Freeman's Journals to flesh it out, because I went right to, if you're talking about an individual interpersonal relationship, a man can draw a hard line about what he will accept, what he will tolerate, what he won't accept, what he won't tolerate. But from a system standpoint, I think it does come off as a lot of rah talking points. Yeah, take back the power. It's like, well, okay, how you're talking about a long, the power that feminism have. I mean, they started trying to get that power 100 years ago. The power that the gay people got, and the things that they got passed. The whole LGBTQRS movement or whatever stuff. That, I mean, they was fighting for their stuff going back to at least the 70s, as far as what I was talking about it. So I mean, the type of power that Freeman's Journal was talking about taking, and I think by extension, I don't know if Dirty Folks was going that deep with it. That's talking about a fight that that may not even be. That our life may not, it may not even happen. That fight may not be won in our lifetime. We're talking about that kind of fight. So if they're talking about that in immediate, what is a man, right now? No, I don't think there's an immediate thing. And you was trying to pin Dirty Folks down on that, and I don't know if he had a good answer for it. other than just, some, the chest beating rah-rah. Like, I can be an individual chest beating rah-rah guy. Like, now ain't no chick ain't no chick pulling no bullshit on me. Like, yeah, you could do that. You could do that, but from a system standpoint, no, it ain't nothing going no time soon.
Yeah, the individual man can just say no.
Yes, you have the power of
me $10. I know you got $10.
Yeah, I got it. You know why I got it? Because I don't throw my money away on them streets.
What? Hold on, where did that one come from? RM, did you load that one in there? I don't even remember putting that one in the system.
That's a pretty good one. I like that.
It is. I like that. That can replace the Vietnamese hooker.
Would that be trolling your audience, telling them not to give you money?
Wait, hold on. Wait, play it again, RM.
Ask you to loan me $10. I know you got $10.
Yeah, I got it. You know why I got it? Because I don't throw my money away on them streets.
No, we can work with that. We can work with that. We can work with that. That's funny. That's funny. And I don't think I plugged. Let me know, RM. Did you just load that one in? Okay, she loaded that one in there. I didn't.
That's a funny one.
I wasn't even for sure if you could do that. But by all means, be creative, and I'll trust. I'll let you know if you load something in there that I don't want. But yeah, be creative and load stuff in there periodically when just give it a shot. Give it a shot. That's cool. That's cool. I like it. But I like it. But all right. Damn it, I forgot what we was talking about. We was talking about the individual
parallel systems. So the parallel systems that we have is the guy can say the options are a guy can say no, or a guy can make more money. That's the only two options he has, because she can plug into the matrix whenever she gets ready.
Yeah. Or you can
the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah. Or you can deal with women who like I said before, and I think me and Christian had this conversation before, and I was like, well, Hispanic men don't make that much money, but their marital rate is, relatively high compared to black people. So it is.
I figured out what I actually did a day analysis. I figured out what that's about.
Okay, I said it was initially. I initially said it's a cultural thing there.
So
and I want to go ahead, Pablo. Then I want to hear Christian's data analysis.
Yeah. So to Chris's point, Latin culture is plugged into a different system. Plain and simple, different culture system. Yeah.
Well, perhaps, but I want to hear what he got to say on that.
For a while, it don't last always, because look at Puerto Ricans in New York. It looks a lot like Black America.
Correct. Yeah. So when we talk about the Latin American culture, it's a little different because of if they're here undocumented, there's barriers of entry for them to access the system, for them having other issues such as being found and different things like that. So they have an incentive not to do that, to float under the radars. That's first thing. Second thing is we talk about the data analysis. So I think the true issue when we talk about things like this is what is the common talking point? They say that there's no guys on their level. Okay. So we know that the number that women in general believe a guy is above her economically is 30%. That's just the number. It's out there in so many studies. That is just basically what the number is. Between studies, the government, everyone's found out that's the number. No matter where you agree with it, that's what it is. So when you look at other racial groups, white men to white women, they out earn between 22 and 27%. Hispanic men run between 18 and 23%. Though their wages are lower, that's what they out earn their women by.
Are you sure about that?
I'll send you the data. I just pulled it.
Because Hispanic women, they don't make that much money, but I mean, it's like Hispanic men, they're from what I looked at, they were, they were just below 40,000, and Hispanic women, they were like in some 34,000 range or something.
I have the data from Q4 2022, and there's the ratio amount. So, and then for Asian men, they run between 25 and 29% that they out earn. So you're saying your average Asian man out earns the average Asian woman by between 25 and 29%. Hence why you have such a high marriage rates. In the Black community, our ratio is between 8 and 14%, and it's been like that since about I just went back like 15 years. So I think that is the big key, that when you start talking about we out earn, we do not meet the 30% threshold. Is so far along the distribution curve that it really eliminates a lot of guys. That's
Do you
what the
think
problem.
do you think our marital rate would come based off the quick maths that I'm doing here? Are you saying our marital rate will bump up to where Hispanic and Latino marital rate is if Black men made
An extra
I think an
$8,000.
additional?
If they made
I calculated an extra. Okay, I was just spitballing, but extra 4 or 5,000, 4,000.
I think it's about an extra $8,000.
You sure about that? That doesn't sound right.
But if you go from 50,000 to right now, we're at 50,000, 50,001, 51,000, 50, 55,500. If we get up to 58,000, I think you would start seeing a shift. If the median moved to that.
Yes, send me the numbers on that. I do. That's some good number crunching. That's some good number crunching. So I do want to check that out. I do want to dig into that.
I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, I do want a number crunch on that.
And if they didn't, and if the women still didn't want to get married at that point, let's put it like this: you would just have more options to within the country or outside the country.
Oh no, those options are still on the table.
Well, you have a lot more options when you're at 60,000 than you do at 50,000. That's a big there starts being breaking points in society at certain income levels. When you start approaching, the big jump is at 70. But
all right. Well,
I'll send it over.
Hit me. Yeah, definitely hit me with that. Email me with that information so I can check out that, look into that, and probably do some more talking on that, because that's interesting. But all right, everybody. And I was trying to shut it down early, but we somehow crawled our way to the 3-hour mark. We've crawled our way to the 3-hour mark. So shout out to everybody in the building. Do appreciate each and every one of you. We about to wrap this thing on up and double checking. All right, I think I got everything. I think I got every I dotted and T crossed. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace. We gone.